From Glitterjaw Studios, this is Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge. Selected from the next game in the chronological list of Simpsons games we have to play, two podcast hosts have come to their respective recording chairs in an attempt to become champions as they battle Bart versus the Juggernauts. Oh my God. Okay. Welcome in to episode 7 of Lee Carvalho's Potting Challenge, a Simpsons gaming podcast that looks at all the highs and lows of the Simpsons tie-in video games and all the sweaty, dripping, muscular, early 90s, kitschy gladiatorial Americana that shaped them. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy.
And I'm one of the men who pound too much, Derek.
Yes! I'm so glad that got brought up so freaking early.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And today, we make a triumphant return. We are returning back to the Game Boy and returning back to Imagineering and Acclaim. With
triumphant question mark?
Triumphant question mark. Yeah, we're tackling Bart versus the Juggernauts, a game that mixes two 90s era Juggernauts, Bart Simpson and the American Gladiators.
Yeah.
Before we jump in, I did just want to shout out, today is the last day that you can nominate our friends over at the Mixed Reviews for a podcast award. If you haven't done it yet, pause the podcast and go to podcastawards.com and nominate the Mixed Reviews in the film and TV category. They are so deserving of this award, and we really, really hope that you will join us in nominating them and helping us to make sure they get the award that they deserve.
Yeah, they do deserve it. Yes, do it right now. It literally, it takes like, you sign up and then there's a drop down that you select.
That's it.
There, you don't even have to, there's like plenty of things you can select. You don't have to do anything. You just go to that TV and film category, drop down, select them, save it. You're done. That's literally all it is. Again, I'm a People's Choice Podcast Award. Fucking rules.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think you can also nominate them for best overall as well if you are going through.
Probably.
I think there's two that they showed up in when I was doing it. So,
nice. Well, there you go.
But make sure you do the film and TV, and you can do that one as well if you want.
Yes. Yes.
Also, before we jump into the game, I swear that we didn't plan this, Derek, but somehow this episode is dropping right as the Paris Olympics are underway.
That's kind of amazing.
Right? Like, how did that happen?
That's so funny. I would have never known. I mean, I didn't even know the Olympics. I never know when the Olympics are happening.
Right,
I know there's some winter ones and then there's some summer ones. But that's a whole, I mean, I never know what year it is. So, you know.
Well, in general, you never know what year it is. In general,
truly. So it's always a surprise. Like, hey, here we go. Here's the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. I'm like, oh, good news to me that's even happening right now.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's funny because I don't remember ever seeing, like, in any research for the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is, as you probably have guessed, the American Gladiators, in addition to the game. I didn't see that there was any particular inspiration from the Olympics in, like, the creation of American Gladiators, but
there was, there had to be.
There has to be, right? Like, there has to be.
Yeah. It was originally, isn't it like riffing on a British show or something? Is that right? Wasn't there am I making that up? Isn't there a British Gladiators or something?
There is a British Gladiators. My understanding is that the British Gladiators came after American Gladiators.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's so usually America's the one ripping off every other country. Mm-hmm. So, okay, well, we got one. We won one.
We got one.
For once. We got one.
We did it.
And it just happened to be, basically a ripoff of the Olympics. So, Yep.
I will also note that there were some contenders in American Gladiators, as well as at least one gladiator. I'm sure there was probably multiple that were Olympians. So it makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
But anyway, I just thought that was really fun happenstance. Also, the Simpsons episode that we're going to talk about mentions the Olympics and is also timely for other reasons.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. It is weird that this is happening, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
Nailed it by accident, I guess.
We did it. But We always do a really fun question to kick off. We can consider it our little monthly couch gag, if you will. Kind of. It's not really anything, but it's just related to the topic at hand. But
Sure.
I was curious, because we're going to be talking about American Gladiators. Was there a competition show, real competition, not like pro wrestling or anything like that, but like an Olympic sport or any sort of like sport competition, even like, you know, the kids game shows that were around when we were kids, that you feel like particular nostalgia for, that you remember really liking when you were younger?
Yeah, Double Dare to an extent.
On your mark. Get set. Go!
Don't have a cow, man. Tip him over. The cowpokes who hit 4 heifers over first will take stock of $25 doughy and lasso control of the first round on the show that knows where the beef is.
We're going to go up here and play some Family Double Dare.
It's Family Double Dare. And now, here's the host of Family Double Dare, Mark Summers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have super strong memories of that one, really. Like, or I should say, I have memories of it, obviously, but I wasn't super into it, but I still have weird nostalgia for it because we had like a Double Dare. I think it was like just like a board game adaptation of Double Dare. I don't really know how that would work.
I remember that.
Yeah. So weirdly, I honestly have more nostalgia for that than I do of the show itself. But when I watched the show, that was cool because it has slime and everything in it. Why wouldn't you think that's cool when you're a kid?
Oh, sorry. I just sent the Double Dare board.
Oh my God. Yes. No, that is the exact box. Oh my God. That is like,
I'm gonna share that out.
Unlocked a memory for me. Holy shit. Yeah. Cause I remember the little fucking helmet we would wear and catch the rings and stuff. I don't remember really playing it very often, but I played with the stuff.
Oh yeah.
In it. Oh my God. Oh, this is like, I could remember that we had the board game, but I couldn't remember what it looked like. And this is truly unlocking a memory for me.
That's
that was
amazing.
Like,
I love that.
Yeah. Holy shit.
It reminds me.
That's so cool.
I don't think we had that, but it reminds me of those games of that kind of era where it was like not a board game. It was like an activity game where it had like a bunch of different stuff. And like, obviously like kids of our age, we're just going to like do whatever we want with it. Right. Like I remember having that type of stuff all the time and just being like, oh, this is just like a cool headwear thing that I can use to like play pretend.
It was
like,
just more toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Mousetrap when it's like, did anyone ever actually play Mousetrap, or did they just build the Mousetrap because it was cool to build it, you know?
Right.
So that was the first thing that came to my mind. Okay, I love that. I'm glad that I brought that. I wasn't even sure I was going to bring it up because I didn't have like a strong connection to it, but that blows my mind that just like came back to me. I wonder if it's still like in my parents' basement somewhere, or if I can't imagine they would have thrown that away.
I mean, I just found it really quickly on eBay. You can pick it up for like $40.
I don't know that I need that in my life, but it's cool that it exists still out there. But the other one I was going to bring up was MXC.
What are these people running from? They're not. They're running to the world's toughest game show in town. Today's competition will pit America's stoic butcher industry workers against wacky cartoon voiceover artists. Get fired up for Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
That's when we were teenagers at the time when that one came out. I don't know that I want to revisit that one because I'm sure it's probably really racist.
It's terrible.
The one where they're like dubbing over and like recutting together like a Japanese competition show.
Takeshi's Castle, right?
Yeah, Takeshi's Castle, right? And it's just a bunch of fucking just like broy white dudes on Spike TV like making jokes about it. I'm sure it does not age well, but for like, you know, a 15 to 17-year-old watching late night TV, that's the fucking shit you want, man. Like, I had a blast watching it at the time. Probably just wouldn't recommend anyone revisit it now, but I have fond memories of staying up and watching that.
Here's Kenny earlier this afternoon.
I tested the wall first. It's pretty solid.
Good thinking, Ken. Wow, looks smart on you.
For my homies. Yeah, fits good. It's
Good
kind of itchy,
flexibility.
though.
Let's see how Kenny Blankenship does with the Boulder Dash suit. Ooh,
Into the slit.
looks like you've got good mobility, Ken.
Yeah, it's kind of itchy. I should have washed it first.
Oh, you're bogged down there.
Yeah, well, I had to kick that guy's ass. He wouldn't let me in. And then he trips me right here.
Kenny, you don't seem to be really testing your suit. There you are. Now.
I was screaming for dramatic effect.
Well, I was moved by it. And here you are, ready to take on the second boulder. Wow.
I will say I definitely have revisited it more recently. It does
boy.
not hold up.
Oh, no.
But funny enough, I mean, here's the thing. I think if you go into it with that understanding, like, it's mostly fine. It's actually more misogynistic than like I remember it being like racially insensitive, which is like still not great. Like not good.
It's into Spike TV, I guess.
But it's like the Spike TV thing. But like I remember there was like Guy Ledouche was like one of the people.
Jesus.
So like, you know, it's also like I think like there's some comedy people who I think are like directly connected to it as well. Like I think there are people maybe have like written on it that like went on to do. I don't know a whole ton about it, but I'm right there with you. That was there's also like a lot of poop humor in it too. Like there's a game called like Sinkers and Floaters, and you know,
sounds
just
about right.
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned that one, because I was thinking of that, but then I was like, does that was that I can't remember if Takeshi's Castle would have been before American Gladiators. It had to have been, right?
That started in '86, so just barely before American Gladiators.
Right before. Although technically, we'll talk about it. Technically, American Gladiators has history in like '84. So.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
It's weird. It's weird, and I don't know if I fully understand it, but we'll talk about it. I'm glad you shared both of those, because those are both amazing, and I didn't remember both of those myself. But for me, the two things I was super into, one was like extreme sports, like most dudes of my age, I feel like got into like skateboarding or like BMX, like at least to a certain extent, because it was just like omnipresent in like the early aughts, like. You know, it was just everywhere. We'll talk more about that, I think, at a later date, so I won't talk too much about it now. But I think the biggest one that comes to mind for me, and I think this is probably true for a lot of millennials, was Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. With your guide, Kirk Fogg. And here he is now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you all, Max. Welcome to the Hidden Temple. The rooms are filled with lost treasures that are protected by mysterious Mayan temple guards. Olmec knows the legend behind each of the treasures in his temple. Which one are we going to hear about today?
The legend of the pendant of Kamehameha.
Well, one of these 6 teams will have a chance to retrieve the pendant. Will it be the Red Jaguars? The Blue Barracudas? The Green Monkeys? The Orange Iguanas? The Purple Parrots? Or the Silver Snakes? They'll have to pass some pretty tough physical and mental tests, and in the end, only one team will earn the right to enter Olmec's temple.
And that is one that, like, I think you can directly draw a line from American Gladiators to Legends of the Hidden Temple. It's like equal parts Gladiator, and then also like, I don't know, oh my gosh, who's the guy who's an archaeologist, who is an action star? Indiana Jones.
Oh, okay. Wow. I mean, I guess that is an appropriate descriptor for Indiana Jones. I guess I just wasn't even.
I don't know why I forgot who Indiana Jones was.
But it was just so far and away. I mean, I was thinking of like a reality, like a Bill Nye or Steve Irwin type of sphere for that. So I wasn't even trying to think of a fictional character.
I'm not gonna live that one down for sure.
Who's that one archaeologist?
Who's the archaeologist? Punches Nazis. Anyway. So that show only aired for like a handful of years. It was like 93 through 95. They did have a revival I saw in 2021. Don't know too much about that. One of the things I learned that I should have known before this was that D. Bradley Baker, the voice of every single clone and every like Star Wars thing that's like animated, Clone Wars and Bad Batch, voiced Olmec, who was like the talking statue head, who was like the second host, like Temple Guardian guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And yeah, I know that like so many people have nostalgia for that show, but like when I like start thinking about it and I see images of it, like I just have this like innate, like I just remember watching it and being like, I could be on that show. I could do that. Like there's just something about it that like I was super drawn to. It was awesome.
I think there's kind of a magic to something like that where like, cause I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just like a game show, but it's sort of presenting it with like a sort of lore that feels like a more narrative thing. It's like it feels like a similar vein of like Carmen Sandiego stuff where it's like, yeah, you're on a game show, but part of the fun of it is the like imagining that this is real, like just like a role play, like D&D type of thing too, or any type of TTRPG thing. Like just like you are playing the roles of someone that is helping the stuff that you can sort of pretend is real. And that feels like so much more interesting, especially to kids, but I mean like to adults too, feels so much more interesting than just going on a game show where, you know, you're just in a competition, you know, like, I mean, honestly, there's a little bit of that in American Gladiators where like, people are absolutely playing roles and playing up like a personality and stuff. Like you still get that in here, but it's just like obviously more pronounced in something like Legends of the Hidden Temple, where the entire area is like built on the lore that they've created and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And I think this is true of American Gladiators too, but the appeal of these, and this is, game shows do this too, but there's just something about like seeing people who look like you. So in this case, kids, right? Like seeing other kids like go through these obstacles and stuff like that and being like, oh yeah, I could definitely do that. Whereas like, I guess you can kind of get the same thing on a game show, but it's less exciting. I think there's a more exciting element, like you were saying, of like, there's a role, there's like a lore, there's like all of this stuff kind of in the background that I think really helps that out. But for anyone who doesn't remember, I was just going through like the teams and stuff like that. There were the red jaguars, the blue barracudas, green monkeys, orange iguanas, purple parrots, and then the silver snakes. Did you have one that you were like particularly drawn to?
I didn't watch enough of it to really. I remember it, but I don't remember any of the names of teams until you listen them to me. So no, I don't really have any. They all sound cool. Yeah. I like orange iguanas. I think that's really neat.
Orange iguanas was good. I always felt drawn to purple parrots, but I also think, as I was writing this out, I was like, silver snakes, I think I was drawn to too.
Pretty neat. Silver
because
snakes
of the alliteration.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. But like that sounds like a motorcycle gang.
It does, right? Like it really does. Also the items and stuff, oh man, like I'm thinking about it now. Like they would go through the temple, find pieces to put together this like silver monkey artifact, and then that would like unlock doors and stuff.
There's like an escape room element to it. That's really fun.
I didn't even put that together. Yeah. 100%.
I think that's why, I mean, that's part of the reason why escape rooms are fun, because there's also a role play element with there, and there's often like interesting lore and a story being told around you in the escape room. I think that's a big appeal of it. Yeah.
Oh man, it was so dope. I would love to do. Saying that now, I'm like, I wonder if there's a Legend of the Hidden Temple escape room. There has to be. Like, I bet you someone's done that.
I'm sure people have done like tiki type things that maybe are sort of appropriative, in the same way probably. So
that's true. I didn't really think about the appropriative elements of Legend of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah.
Quite that much.
It's a thing from the 90s. Like it's not surprising.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I felt like that was the appropriate place to start before we get into talking about the main topic. But because, well, I'm calling it the main topic. The main topic's the game. But
but there's really, there's not a whole lot to be talked about in this game.
There's not.
I was like, when I finished it, I was like, thank God we have the American Gladiators thing to latch onto, because otherwise, what the fuck would be real? It would be truly like a 20-minute conversation. So,
and I think it's important that we talk about American Gladiators because so much of it is wrapped up in it. And like,
for sure.
The American Gladiators was like all the stuff that we just talked about, Legend of the Hidden Temple, Wipeout, American Ninja Warrior. Well, I guess American Ninja Warrior less because there's actual Ninja Warrior, but MXC stuff like that.
But I don't think that the Ninja Warrior stuff would have, and MXC as well, would have gotten popular in America if American Gladiators hadn't kind of introduced, I think, Americans, Western audiences to that concept.
True. Yeah, it's really kind of a foundational on all of that stuff. So with that in mind, let's talk a brief history of the American Gladiators.
I remember the producer says, hey, I'm going to make you guys stars. You guys are going to make a lot of money.
American Gladiators, you know that TV show where people supposedly get to test their strength against a bunch of Hulks?
Nothing was staged, ever. Every competition was do or die.
It was barbaric.
Look, we had groupies, we had sex, we had drugs, and we were coming to a town to kick the out of you.
And that's when you go, holy, we're kind of famous.
These guys' egos just start getting bigger and bigger.
You're never gonna defeat 220 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal.
Something that was delightful started to feel resentful.
Walked into their dressing room and saw that there were syringes and needles lying around.
As an athlete, you got to make the decision what you're willing to do to perform. There is such a thing as roid rage.
I just remember him chasing after the referee. It was really scary.
And the next thing I feel, my best friend biting me in the face. These events were dangerous.
They didn't understand the injuries that were going to happen.
The worst event ever, the human cannonball.
They fly down on a rope and knock you off your ass. That was it. That was the end of him.
We knew that there were issues. You'd have to be blind, deaf, and dumb to not know that there were issues.
There was no mercy when it came to the American Gladiator television show.
When you think you're not replaceable, you are, and that's one of the things that they wanted to prove to people.
Watching the show completely go into downward spiral was pretty terrible.
There wasn't a chance in hell this was going to continue to air.
Gladiator Arena in Los Angeles, California. Here are your American Gladiators. Ice, ice, baby. Gemini. Blaze. Do the thunder shake. Storm. Laser. Disaster. Power. Violent. Nitro. The Samuel Goldwyn Company presents the American Gladiators. Let the games begin.
I have a question for you, Derek.
Yeah.
2 questions, actually. When you started recording Walloping Websnappers back in 2019, did the thought ever cross your mind that you would be recording a podcast episode about a Simpsons video game and spending roughly 45 minutes talking about American Gladiators as table setting?
No. I mean, I couldn't imagine a podcast about Simpsons video games, period, to be honest. The American Gladiators thing is just icing on that cake. So, yeah, pretty wild. Who would have guessed? Life is just a series of surprises.
That's true, as are the American Gladiators. But actual question, what was your general awareness of American Gladiators growing up?
I don't know how I had awareness of it. I know that I did. I don't think I really ever watched it, but I think because it was so embedded in pop culture that probably just through parody and through ripoffs and through references, I knew what it was, even if I know it ran in reruns a lot, even after it was done. So I probably did see it at some point. I just don't remember it, even if I didn't intentionally watch it. I do feel like it's the kind of thing where it's like, inescapable, at least knowing that it existed in some way and knowing the basic concept. But I'm pretty sure the one that I watched for this episode was probably the first episode I've ever just like sat down and watched and paid attention to.
Like front to back.
Front to back, yeah. But even watching, I'm sort of like, oh yeah, they're fighting with the giant Q-tips. Like I'm not surprised,
that.
I know that.
It's just
it's just kind of part and parcel to pop culture if you were alive at this point in the early 90s, I guess.
No, I mean, it's true. And I think that's one of the reasons why it makes just a ton of sense to talk about the show. Mm-hmm. It's because of how like juiced up it is, pardon the pun, on American culture.
Yeah.
And I mean American culture like in like the broad sense of American culture, right? Like we'll talk a little bit about it, but like there's a specific American culture I think that like this really delves into or like draws from.
Okay.
And the way in which like The Simpsons is a cultural touchstone and foundational building block for so much in our culture today, like from animated sitcoms, like what they would become to just like sitcoms as a whole, like American Gladiators was pretty significant in shaping entertainment and becoming like this sort of like mythology. Like the fact that you're able to remember the pugil sticks, aka the Q-tips, but like don't have like a frame of reference for like why, like that is indicative of what American Gladiators is as an institution.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of it was just that there really was nothing else like it on TV. Like, I mean, where was wrestling at in the early 90s? Because I feel like a lot of what American Gladiators, going back and watching this, is like very much just what like people who love wrestling are into now. And I know obviously that's been a thing for a long time, but it was like, was there like a gap? Was there like a gap that was being filled that like wrestling wasn't filling at this point that American Gladiators was filling,
Yeah, I that's a great question. I mean, wrestling really started hitting its stride. I mean, wrestling goes back like very far, right?
So like
wrestling,
the Greeks.
Well, yeah, right.
But like whatever, like the WWE style of like personas and the sort of theater that wrestling is now. Like that, even that still goes back pretty far.
Yeah. So, I mean, WrestleMania 1 is probably like what I would look to as the blowing up point, so to speak. And that's probably even not fair, but that's like when it started really getting like maximum television coverage and stuff like that. That was like 1985. So these are kind of like almost like running side by side. Wrestling definitely has like a much bigger head start because, there was regional wrestling for like a long time. And I don't know the full history of that, but like regional wrestling was like a big thing. Wrestling coming together as a actual, like the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, which eventually becomes WWE, coming together as like one unified thing was like happening in like the mid to late 80s, right?
Okay.
So
makes sense.
I don't think that Gladiators really like filled a void that wasn't there for like wrestling, I think it was almost kind of like they kind of went hand in hand in certain aspects, but also what we'll talk about in a minute is that Gladiators also just wanted to do something different than wrestling.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Very different.
Yeah, I think that I'll let you carry that, but I know it because that was going to be my next thought. Yep.
Yeah. So like, I do think you're on the right track though of like, I think I said like it didn't fill a void. It kind of does fill a void, right? Because wrestling is sports entertainment. American Gladiators is sports entertainment as well, but Gladiators isn't actually fixed in the sense that wrestling is.
Sure. Yeah. No, yeah, it is a little more of a sport in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
Of playing a game rather than putting on like they're putting on a show, but they're also playing a game. Wrestling is very much just putting on a show. Yeah, that's a good point. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, and I will say too, before anybody comes for me and comes for us, wrestling is also a sport. Like don't take me wrong.
That's why I meant like in the traditional sense, like sport as a game versus sport as like a type of like physical performance, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 100% accurate. Like and I think that American Gladiators, while initially, from my understanding, didn't really know which direction it wanted to head. It had to find its way there a little bit. It really did end up filling that void of, as opposed to wrestling, which I think also, wrestling's so weird. There was also this period of like, I mean, you know about this, I think, because Behind the Bastards did like a whole full 7-part series on Vince McMahon. But like,
I didn't listen to that whole goddamn thing. That was too many episodes, Robert. I'm sorry.
No, it was way too many for Vince McMahon. But he is an asshole, and I will call him that later on in the outline as well. But the wrestling went through this phase where it was still trying to kind of keep the what's known as kayfabe, which is like the farce. It was very much trying to keep the farce alive, where people couldn't tell if it was real or if it was fake for a very long time. But from the onset, American Gladiators was not trying to do that. They were very much taking the approach of, this is an actual sport, or at least this is an actual, maybe sport is the wrong term, but this is an actual competition.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So I think we've kind of like hammered home that point of like, even if you haven't watched American Gladiators as a millennial, someone of our age, even honestly people younger than us, like, you probably know about it. And I think that's the reason why Acclaim chose American Gladiators as the reference point for this game.
Sure.
At its height, it's massive. And it like really, like, when you start digging into it, like, it feels like it's kind of chiseled and sculpted out of American culture, like, period, right? Like, so the premise of the show, for those who might not be familiar, is that you take, quote, normal folks, and I say that in quotes because like so many of the contenders are athletes, right, or former athletes, and you put those, quote, normal folks up against these like visibly powerful competitors fashioned as American gladiators. They're decked out in red, white, and blue. Like, the gladiators represent this like peak human form and like peak athletic specimens that like the best American competitors and warriors are like, that is them. That's what the gladiators are. While the competitors were everyone else, you and me, and like they are the David to the Goliath that is the gladiators.
The Goliath that are decked out in like glitter and crop tops.
Hell
galore.
Yeah. Hell
By
yeah.
the way.
And we got it all in this episode, baby. Like, listen,
Hell yeah.
There's some anti-queerness about this show that is like really awful, but also
it's also
like,
the gayest shit I've ever
so
seen in my
gay.
life.
It's
my
so queer.
God.
Like, dude, it's like, how? Anyway, we'll get to it. We're getting ahead of ourselves. There's a lot to talk about with American Gladiators, and we're only going to scratch the surface. But I do want to say, like, I think when I was approaching this, because of where Simpsons kind of occupies in like a space of like the American mythos, right? Like, it is foundational to so much about like American culture and like a very specific aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think like when you start really breaking down American Gladiators, there's just so much that you can like really see that like almost kind of mirrors like the American exceptionalism myth in like on like a personal scale.
Oh,
like,
wow. Yeah.
It's like we have the best warriors, the gladiators, and then we also have the scrappy underdogs who can take on any challenge and win.
The red, white, and blue is here. It's time to get victorious. Let's begin.
Today on American Gladiators, his name is Eric Montessori. He served beside General Norman Schwarzkopf on the stormy sands of Saudi Arabia. Today, Eric engages in a different kind of hand-to-hand combat.
Well, I guess you could say I'm the Patriot missile the American Gladiators are about to see come fired their way.
But your opponent, Greg Petrie, is one driven man who prefers the solitude of his cellar for more intense physical and mental preparation.
A lean, mean, savage machine. Woo!
On the women's side, they call her the Rat. Roseanne Torres is a school teacher by day, bodybuilder by night. She'll try the best Denise Chase, who came to LA 3 days ago and primed for the back-breaking competition by getting married. He's an officer for the U.S. Border Patrol, keeping illegal aliens and illicit drugs out. But today, Craig Charles is on the other side, about to cross the border into Gladiator Arena. He'll face Mark Anthony, a standout defensive back from Pasadena City College. On the women's side, Jill Shank from Tampa, a recovering alcoholic who's lifted herself up to stand with the champions. She'll meet Kimberly Lentz, an account representative for American Express. Marek Wilczynski, a Polish immigrant and brand new U.S. citizen. A man whose American dream has definitely come true. He'll face Tony Corella, the sewer contractor from Minneapolis. A man who knows how to get down and dirty. Opposites collide. All business Angela Shepard, one of LA's toughest cops, faces our own class clown and resident Trekkie, AJ Perling of Minneapolis.
I've only got impulse power, but I'll give you all I got.
Johnny Jonkowski is her name. Riding Bulls is her claim to fame. Patty Stevenson, phys ed teacher and all-around athlete. He lays pipe 10 hours a day and plays as hard as he works. He put everyone to shame at the contender tryouts doing 40 chin-ups in 30 seconds. Not bad for an exotic dancer. Waiting for Terrell is a woman who knows how to get down and dirty. 27-year-old Christy Kropp from Minneapolis.
I'm ready to drill some gladiators today.
It's so perfect how it represents like that sort of like Americana.
Yeah, that's sort of the contradiction of the American dream.
Yes.
Like, how can you be an exceptionalist? How can we represent exceptionalism and also pulling yourself up by your bootstraps at the same time? Like that, those aren't the same.
But they're both there.
Right.
Like they're both there, right?
Yeah,
like you can.
That's so fascinating.
And like, just to be clear, like I am not at all lauding that. It is what it is.
It makes sense. Like that was a very calculated and smart move for them to do that because that's going to speak to a lot of people. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is this just like, I mean, it's hard not to, I think part of it is like, because it's dressed up in this entertainment and this spectacle, it's a little hard to see sometimes, but there really is this like intrinsic piece of like that basic American culture, like the red, white, and blue, patriotic, like rah nationalism, like American culture that is there. And it's just, it really is fascinating to me. And I don't really have like a takeaway from it that it occupies the same timeline as like the rise of The Simpsons, right? Like, you know, we're talking about a game from 1992. God, I forgot that. That's in here somewhere. Buried under mountains of muscle. But it is just fascinating that you have that. And then The Simpsons, which like takes it and parodies it, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like they would do that.
Yeah, like either way, there definitely was something in the culture that made people want to comment and commentate on like the American dream in one way or another. Like that was such a thing. And so, yeah, you'd either get, I feel like the more left of center TV shows like The Simpsons and like Roseanne that are sort of like showing you sort of like the reality of
real
of
families.
America. And then you'd have the other side kind of just boosting up the exceptionalism of America and celebrating it. But either way, people are very clearly thinking about like what the American dream means to them. Which I think makes a lot of sense in like the 1990s of like for like end of history theory, you know, where it's like a lot of people really, I've talked about this on a podcast. I don't know if it's this podcast or another one, but end of history stuff is really interesting. Maybe we talked about it on Gimmicks for like the West Wing or something, but like that is like a theory of an actual like sort of economic theory that's just like this idea that people were believing that things were the best that they could ever be, like that Western democracy, if that is the end all be all of like utopia, then we're as close as utopia as we can get. That like the way that the government was and the way that the American economy and everything was in the 1990s is like the best it could ever get, according to a lot of people that were living at that time thinking about it. Obviously, we know, especially in retrospect, that none of that was true and it was very shaky foundation. And if you were like, you know, marginalized in any way, that was not the case. But for a lot of your everyday people, I think that's often the vibe. And I'm not saying, you know, like that's just a thing that has been written about many times. End of history. Like you can literally look that up. There's a whole Wikipedia page on it and like books written about it and everything. But that was definitely part of it. And I only bring up to say that I think that a lot of people were just thinking about America's place in the world at the time, because they had kind of like the space to do that. And this is one direction that it could go in. It's just sort of like aren't we fucking awesome? Isn't this like the best country in the world?
Look at this shit.
Look at this shit. We're amazing.
Look at our fucking muscles, and we got like a machine gun that shoots tennis balls. Like, let's go. But so to dive like a layer deeper into the actual show itself, I'm absolutely after this also, by the way, looking up end of history stuff because I know very little about that.
Yeah,
but
End of History
sounds fascinating.
and The Last Man was by Francis Fukuyama's book that came out in 92, and a lot of stuff has been written since then about it. But it is I've never read the actual book, but a lot of people have cited it and talked about it, and sort of its place in sort of like philosophical and economic conversations about America's place in the world and Western democracy in general. And it's just sort of interesting just to be like, oh, what you thought was happening back then. And then 9/11 happened, and it's sort of like, never mind. History's happening again. History's restarted.
Oh God. Yeah. No, that sounds fascinating. And I do think it like, it really fits into this like very nicely because again, like, I don't know. It shows like this and The Simpsons in very different ways are mirrors to like what is happening in the like when something becomes as popular as both of those do, there's a reason for that, right? Like, so there has to be some element of like a mirror to society. Like it just has to be.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the show itself, just for anyone who's unaware, so a lot of what we're going to talk about today comes from the documentary series Muscles and Mayhem, an unauthorized story of American Gladiators, unless I like otherwise note it. And I'll have, as we always do, full sources in the show description. But that documentary series is on Netflix, and it's pretty interesting. I think if you're interested in American Gladiators, and honestly, even if you're just like kind of tertiarily interested in it gives you a lot of really great background. It's also just like chock full of nostalgia, so it's at least an interesting watch. I can't really like, I don't know, I think it's fine. Sure. Like I think there's some elements about it that it's hard to really know how they put it together and stuff like that, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, there's a lot of great information in it that we'll be relying on today. First of all, the show American Gladiators itself began in 1989, but the origin actually goes back to 1984 when the two men behind the concept, Johnny Ferrero and Dan Carr, filmed a sort of like spec project that was intended to be a movie. And I have no idea how you would take what American Gladiators ends up becoming and make it into a movie. Like, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if I necessarily understand that, but
I can't envision what it would look like other than I'm sure it would be bad, but I'm not surprised because that seems, I mean, it's not any different than like making a board game into a movie. You know what I mean? Like it's the same sort of wavelength. It would be the story of some scrappy underdog protagonist entering some American Gladiator tournament.
That's got to be what it is.
Yeah, I think that's all it would be.
Yeah. I will say, I meant to mention this later, but speaking of how to turn an American Gladiators into a movie, it actually happened. The movie Running Man is like, to a certain extent, based on American Gladiators.
Yes, actually, the more I think about it, the more it totally makes perfect sense. Actually, it's like a sports movie, you know.
Yeah. But anyway, since that was before the show itself, it was just like I was just like, what were they thinking initially?
The board game conversation isn't really doesn't make sense because it comes first. Actually, when you think of it from that perspective, it does kind of make sense that a Running Man's type movie is the first idea, and then you're like, but actually we could make this a game show. That totally makes sense. No, that 100% makes sense.
And that's pretty much what happens, I think. Again, don't know what the movie was necessarily about, but eventually Carr drops out, but Ferrero gets the concept for an unscripted show licensed by the Samuel Goldwyn Company, who was known for distributing art house films around the world to the U.S. They're probably best known for distribution of the 1985 Care Bears movie, which I didn't realize was Canadian. The U.S. distribution for Toei Animation Swan Lake from 1981. They also distributed the animated film Rockadoodle.
Oh my God, that movie is insane.
And then they co-produced, speaking of just wild movies, they co-produced Velvet Goldmine and co-produced and distributed the 1997 adaptation of Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita.
I love one of those movies.
Yeah. I will say I have not seen the 1997 adaptation of Lolita, nor have I seen the other adaptation of Lolita or any of the adaptations of Lolita. But it's just wild to me that like that was some of the stuff that they've done, and then they also did
quite
American Gladiators.
Yeah, quite an interesting mixture of projects there.
Yeah. Anyway, so Ferrero, who I have to just pause really quickly and note that in Muscles and Mayhem and other places, Johnny Ferrero is at multiple points in times identified as an Elvis impersonator.
Oh, okay.
Like the person who created American Gladiators was an Elvis impersonator.
That's kind of perfect.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And when you see him, you're like, oh yeah, I see it. Like he looks like Elvis. And like the only thing I will say is I don't actually know if they were, because this obviously comes from people who are in the documentary. They call him an Elvis impersonator, but I don't know if they were saying that or if they were just saying, because other people say like he was an Elvis lookalike.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't
that's
know
not
if that
the
was
same.
real.
Yeah, like
yeah,
one of those is an actual like job you can have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So either way, he looked like Elvis, and it looked like he kind of maybe probably dressed like him.
It's very
too,
funny.
So anyway, like I said, he gets the Samuel Goldwyn Company to pick up the rights to it, and it's put into syndication immediately, airing weekly from September 1989 to May of 1996 originally. So again, this is prime 90s, baby. Like this is right there. And again, it's also kind of interesting that it also technically started the same year as the Simpsons show started. So
yeah,
they're almost kind of like up to a point like running simultaneously.
That's really
in a way.
interesting. Yeah.
We already talked a little bit about the concept, but it takes real folks and puts them up against gladiators in a number of athletic competition. There was something like 22 different events that the show would offer at various different points throughout its history, with like 6 to 8 events occurring during an episode, pretty much always ending with the obstacle course known as the Eliminator, where contenders would basically race against each other and gladiators would be like obstacles throughout the obstacle course as well.
So they had so many different events, and yet when this game kind of riffs on it, they have I'm
so mad about that.
We will talk about that.
I'm so mad about that.
Yeah, it's like you had so much stuff you could just easily be ripping off, and you chose what, like
Repeat.
5? Oh, anyway, save that for later. I have a whole thing about that.
I have a whole thing about that too. But yeah, it's wild. There's a lot that you could have pulled from. I will note that like at the start of the show, they didn't have all of those events.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
they and also like not all of the events that they had at the start of the show were safe either.
Oh, for sure.
Like the first season was wild, Derek. Like we watched the pilot episode, right?
Yeah.
Did anything stick out to you about the pilot episode, like that you watched?
The tennis balls being shot at people at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they're just and the only protection they have is like some light goggles, like
a couple branches.
What the fuck, dude?
There is that. The other thing that stuck out to me, so 2 things were, so Gemini, one of the like main gladiators, and Gemini is like a mainstay of like the gladiators throughout the whole thing. He starts as this like dual personality person.
Absolutely.
Which is not great.
This is Gemini, a split personality. Calm 1 minute, violent the next.
Joe, the first event is called the Joust, but it almost sounds too gentle when you consider what's about to take place. Our contenders will be armed with these pugil sticks, much like the kind used in military training. They will then try to knock their opposition off this narrow walkway or push them back through a trap door. However, there is one rather large catch, and I do mean large. He's our gladiator, Gemini. And as you might expect, he is hardly a pushover.
People think I have a lot of moods. Well, there's only one mood that I'm concerned about. That's competitive mood. And if you people out there think you're a competitor, remember, you'll have to compete against me, Gemini, an American Gladiator.
He's got me convinced. Gemini, 2 personalities, but only one mission: destruction.
It's not. They kind of play it as like a Jekyll Hyde thing, where it's like I'm the nice one and I'm the angry one, and that's all they really do with it.
But like Yeah, they don't play it up too much, at least not in the pilot that we watched. I should note. I didn't watch too much of season 1. I watched some of the later episodes thereafter, just because like of how much it changes, just to get a good sense of that. And boy, does it change quite a bit from season 1.
Interesting.
The other thing is, in the first season, instead of having refs, they have an executioner.
What the fuck? Like, and he's dressed like, it's like a weird like ninja executioner outfit. It's so weird, but he doesn't act like intimidating. He just sort of goes and just sort of like, you're out. Like he sort of acts like a referee.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird.
So that doesn't last like that long in the show?
No.
That's so funny.
No. So what is funny about that is like, so I think after season 1, and they talk about this a lot in the documentary, and I won't like rehash all of that. If you want to watch it, go watch it. But like, they really have like 2 distinct directions that they could go. They could go the direction of pro wrestling and be more, we have these personalities, we have, an executioner, like, and have like more kind of like played up elements. Or they can go the route of like wanting to be more of an actual sport, more of an actual competition. And they choose to go the competition route, which I think I could see like myself not necessarily thinking that's the right decision.
Yeah.
Because it's so like Gladiators is like so glitz and glammy and like it's such this like spectacle that you would think like, well, you need to play some of that up, but it pays off, right? Like we will see that it like absolutely pays off to go in more of a direction that is more focused on the actual sports element. I also think that's pretty indicative of they just didn't have any fucking idea when the show began, like what it was supposed to be. Like having an executioner like hold a thumb up or a thumb down over a competitor, which first of all doesn't make sense. Like, is the implication that they're just like murdered like after like the simple ruling if they broke the rules?
I guess
like,
they're trying. I guess they weren't sure how much they wanted to play up the gladiator part of like gladiators are fighting to the death kind of thing.
Right.
But it's just silly to put that up against like these people in glittery crop tops hitting each other with giant Q-tips. So,
Yeah. I do think like there is a world where there is a more wrestling focused stint with this, right? Like where it is still like as opposed to, I don't know, Hulk Hogan coming out in like the squared circle and like, calling out Randy Savage. It's Gemini calling out like one of the other gladiators.
Calling out not the Terminator, but the lady they call the Terminator. She can't legally call herself the Terminator. They can't be her name because, there's a whole other Terminator that exists, but she can be the lady they call the Terminator.
I believe that was Zap, I think
that was her actual Frankie Perry, I thought. Or was that the contestant she went up against?
Frankie Perry was the contestant. Zap
okay.
was the gladiator who, yes, when she like gets interviewed, she's like, they call me the Terminator. And it's like, no, they call you Zap.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
What?
So funny.
Very funny. But anyway, so the show like became really popular after the second season. I think the first season like did well as well, but like after some retooling, it like that's when it starts rising to popularity. Sure. Critics consistently panned the show because of course, but it didn't really matter. Ice, Nitro, Laser, Gemini, Malibu, Titan, and the rest of the gladiators like become household names like very quickly. And then the show like even starts finding footholds with children, which it wasn't a show produced for children necessarily, but I think that like really leads to it taking off.
Kind of just like The Simpsons, honestly. Kids were a big reason The Simpsons were so popular. So
I think so. It reminds me a little bit of, and specifically what we're going to talk about next, it reminds me a little bit of like Monster Jam, like Monster Truck Rallies.
Oh, yeah.
Because like that's like a very like family friendly kind of thing. And I think that Gladiators wanted to put off that vibe, even though they weren't like aiming at getting children there. I think they realized like, especially when they start doing, so let me get to this. So it becomes so popular in 1991 or it becomes so popular that from 1991 to 1992, there's a like 120 show live tour that is sponsored by 7-Eleven.
Of course. 7-Eleven also sponsored the Simpsons movie. And
I know.
That's so fucking weird. Wow. The connections.
So weird. And like the main conceit of the live show is that it's bringing the gladiators to you and having you compete. The best of your city go up and compete against them. Like one night only, prove if your best athletes can take on the gladiators.
And even if you don't participate, that's got to be a fun ass show to see live. Like that's got to be so cool to see live.
What's wild is the person, and they talk about this in the documentary too, the person that they bring in to actually like produce the live show also produce like Dirty Dancing live, like the Dirty Dancing live show, and like some like rock performances, like the Monkeys and
that shit.
Yeah, like it works out. Although it doesn't really work out for the gladiators because like they're like getting worked to shit. Like
I'm sure they're getting paid nothing too, probably.
They did. So they do get paid nothing. That actually is a big point of contention, like later on, to the point where like the gladiators, some of the mainstay gladiators try to stage a walkout or a lockout and are fired because they don't get enough of the other gladiators to join in with them.
That's about right. That's so very, I mean, so many things. I'm just thinking, if I'm thinking early 90s, like multiple Power Rangers seasons went down exactly like that. And it's like, oh, you think you guys are top of the world for being these like being a 90s phenomenon? We can just do this without you. Then if you don't think you're paid enough, then fucking leave and then you're fired. Like,
well,
it's pretty wild.
The big piece for that, right, was merchandising rights, which I'm sure is probably a big piece for like Power Rangers as well.
100,000% for sure.
Like they start making, which we'll talk about in a second. There's an American Gladiators video game. They make American Gladiators action figures. Like there's all this stuff made with their likeness and they get fucking shit from it, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't get anything. And they're like, hey, like part of like when we signed on to this, the idea was once we started making it big as a show, then we would start like sharing in some of the profits, and we're not seeing that. And like the producers were like, fuck off. Like either you come into work or like you're gone. And again, like not enough of the gladiators really join in with this. I think if everybody had done it, I think things might have been different. Yeah. And that's not laying blame on the gladiators that stuck around. Like don't hear me saying that. There's a lot that when it comes to like labor organizing, like there's a lot that goes into that.
Oh yeah.
And you can't just like stage a walkout with like 10 people and like have like a 60 place, workplace, let's say. And like, you have to have organizing, like groundwork kind of put in. You also can't fault like some of the people who don't walk out.
Everyone's situations are different. Not some people truly could never afford to do that or risk that. Yeah.
And that's why unions are so important, because union dues go towards that type of stuff. Like when unions go on strike, they provide money for people who are striking, like a lot of the time. So, anyway, I didn't know I was going to go on that tangent, but it's part of it, right? Yeah. Like it is definitely part of it. And so anyway, the live tour. So they actually do mention that this is where they start actually making more money. Like they do actually make a good amount of money from doing the live tour, but it's at like a huge cost because they're like going night to night and like doing performances night to night. And like,
that's physically taxing stuff. And they have to like actually compete against people. Like it's not like they can really phone that in.
Yeah. Yep. Jeez. I also think it was interesting because so the live tour, I don't know how much this factored into the game Bart versus the Juggernauts, because the game takes place in Springfield, right? So like there is an element of like maybe it's them touring through, but I think they actually mentioned like this is like they do this often in Springfield. So I think it's just in that world. Like but the Juggernauts are the gladiators there.
But the idea that anyone could be on American Gladiators, I think, inspires that idea. Like, I mean, one of my things with the game is that it's sort of like, that could just be a Simpsons episode of The Simpsons Go on American Gladiators. Probably more of like a season 12 era Simpsons episode, or like a cutaway in season 4. But regardless, more than any other game we played, like it feels like an easy idea of like, yeah, why wouldn't you just have the Simpsons enter this contest on American Gladiators? It totally makes sense. Like
it is
genius idea, honestly.
It is really interesting that you say that, because I'm actually surprised that they don't do that. Like, especially because of how much, like, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but like American Gladiators ends up being in other avenues, right? Like American Gladiators end up on like Saved by the Bell, Family Matters, Ellen, like Ellen DeGeneres' sitcom. Like there's episodes built around that, and I'm like, why didn't The Simpsons do an American Gladiator centric one?
They eventually I feel like, unless I'm remembering forgetting something that happened earlier, Luann, Milhouse's mom, dated Pyro.
And the winner of the Milhouse 500 is Milhouse!
Milhouse, are you sure you want to drive that inside?
Yes!
Okay, be careful, sweet, sweet treasure.
God, I missed you, Lulu.
Chase, it's only been 3 hours.
Who's Chase? Oh, that's Mom's new boyfriend. Hey, I know you from American Gladiators. You're Pyro.
Only on weekends. During the week, I'm just your average workaday stuntman.
Really?
Go ahead, break a chair on me.
Wow, thanks.
Okay, boys, I gotta go. Come on, Lulu, let's roll.
But
That's
who was
correct.
an American Gladiator, but that's not until like season 8, I think. Yeah.
And
he
that's
hasn't shown-
around the time the show stops.
Yeah, so like that's kind of more probably riffing on like, wow, remember like that show's like that, that it's like, it's ending at that point. So it's like, wow, wasn't it silly that we were all into this? Like kind of more of a parody of it being like a washed up guy, honestly. Really the humor of that. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, unless we're forgetting something, yeah, I don't know that they really do any American Gladiators stuff when it was actually at its height, which is sort of weird.
It is very weird. Like, I don't know. I need to dig a little bit more into that because like that feels like an obvious thing that they just don't.
There has to be some reference. I want to literally search on Skreeonk. Like, I wonder if they ever like watch it for an episode or something like that.
The only reference I could like legitimately find is the Luann one, and then I think there's another one in season.
There's season 10.
Might have been season 10, episode 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Milhouse Divided, which is season 6, episode 8, and then Wild Barts Can't Be Broken, season 11, episode 10. Those are the only references I found for The Simpsons with American Gladiators outside of this game.
Yeah. Milhouse Divided is season 8, so there wasn't even anything before.
Oh, I got those backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 8, episode 6.
But I mean, all of that's to say, like, it isn't until the late 90s that Simpsons do just any jokes on it. That's so funny. Yeah, it's because it seemed like it would have been such an easy pop culture thing. Like, I wouldn't have expected, like, the actual era of Simpsons that this game comes out in like season 3, they wouldn't have done an episode where the Simpsons go on American Gladiators. They weren't doing that wacky shit yet, but they would have, like, I'm surprised that Homer was never watching an episode of it at some point on TV,
Can I posit this question? Because I truly don't know this. I'm just thinking of this because, so as someone who grew up not wealthy, we watched a lot of stuff like WWE and like American Gladiators, and I wonder if like that's something that was like maybe not looked at as like the type of thing that Simpsons would reference.
I think it's not so much that it was looked at as they wouldn't. I think it was more like the Simpsons writers are a bunch of Harvard grads.
It wasn't even
on their radar and was like just too lowbrow for them probably.
That's what I was thinking was like, is it too lowbrow?
I think it might, because especially like season 3 Simpsons, like it's a fucking bunch of like 20-year-old like rich kids for the most part. Not everyone, obviously, but for the most part, it's a bunch of like 20-year-old rich kids from Harvard. Like they weren't fucking with American Gladiators at all. So that's actually a really good point, which is why then it's like latter Simpsons that you actually start seeing more references to, in like the Mike Scully era and stuff like that. That actually makes a lot of sense now that I think about it.
I think that might be. I mean, I don't know. We'll never know. Maybe it was pitched.
100% is the explanation.
Conan O'Brien, damn you! Like, why didn't you? Not just obviously. He's a weird pull. I don't know why I pulled him, but
yeah,
I think because he wrote the episode we're going to talk about later, right? I think he did. Anyway, doesn't matter
who wrote it. Baby,
I saw his name pop up when I was watching it, so that's the only reason I thought. But anyway, to jump back in, we have a few more things to cover with Gladiators. So we already started talking about this, but like in examining Gladiators, through like the lens of American culture of the 90s, like you have to compare it to professional wrestling. Like, even though, again, they did not want to be compared to pro wrestling, like it's just kind of in the DNA, right? Like both are just big, beefy people doing athletic things. Like it's natural to compare those things.
With big personalities.
And big personalities. Although Gladiators, I think, really did tone down the personalities later on, but that is like a big element of it. And I think that was in the DNA early on of like, we're going to have these big personalities like Nitro and Gemini, like they're going to come in and like be the faces of this. And anyway, so I will note that like we said, Gladiators always separated itself from wrestling in that like the competitions were real, but there is a real component to pro wrestling in that like dudes got hurt all the time and dudes had to get their bodies into peak condition in order to perform. It was just the kind of outcomes that were always scripted, right? Like they still had to be athletic and had to be athletic performers. It was just that like they knew kind of the outcome of what the storylines were going to be.
Right.
Gladiators wasn't the same, and that's something that's like really interesting about it. It wanted to be viewed as this like legitimate sport more than pro wrestling, even though it's like goofy and kitschy as shit. Like it just is. Like you can't separate that out of it.
Right.
I think if you really wanted to be real about it, like you'd have actual like padding and like not show off like the muscles and stuff, right? Like, but that's not what it was about. But it is also, however, important to note that the trajectory of Gladiators and the specter of pro wrestling are kind of tied together in one very specific facet, which is drug abuse and steroids.
Jesus Christ. Of course.
So,
I mean, look at these people. Would you ever have guessed that any of the people were roided out of their fucking minds?
I went to the Gladiator and said, listen, we're going to find time for you to get media training so that when they're asked questions, you know, how to deflect, because that was the era of steroids. And that was the era of the World Wrestling Federation. They weren't admitting that they would do steroids. And 7-Eleven didn't want them to say that either.
Dan Clark.
One of the oddly weird things that I was worried about on the tour when it started was, I was, taking roids, and I couldn't figure out how many syringes I needed to take on the road for, 99 months. And I did the math. I take one, so that's 90 syringes I got to bring.
From what I can find, and I there might be some other ones out there, but in the documentary that I watched, Nitro is the only one who is like openly admitted to juicing, to using steroids. I think it's Zap, who is like the Terminator. She talks about using Zap the Terminator. She talks about using HGH, human growth hormones, but not steroids specifically. Also, she goes on to be in JAG, which is kind of wild.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot her actual name, but I thought that was kind of cool.
The Terminator, that's a real name. It's fine.
They do this thing. They do this thing where, so let me level set. In the 90s, steroids kind of become a really hot issue.
Oh, yeah.
So chairman of the World Wrestling Federation and an all-around massive piece of shit, Vince McMahon, was brought up on charges in 1994 for suspicion of supplying illegal anabolic steroids to his talent. Hey, Simps. Tommy here. I just wanted to, before these clips play, this is me from the future, by the way, which is important to know that it's not me from the past. Before these clips play, I did want to just set the stage a little bit more because we talked about this a little bit in the episode, but we weren't really planning to go quite as in-depth into some of the wrestling stuff. I think as we ended up doing, and as some of these things have kind of come about through the editing process. But the first thing I want to say is that if you're at all interested in the sort of trial and the what happens in the steroid cases for the WWE, there are multiple. I mean, there's a lot of places you can go. We talked a little bit about the Behind the Bastard series on Vince McMahon. You can check that out. There's way more than there needs to be in those episodes. They're still good, but anyway, they do kind of cover, especially Vince's alleged portion in this. The other place that you can look to is Viceland did a docuseries, Dark Side of the Ring, that covers multiple different aspects of pro wrestling, and there's some focus in episodes on the steroid scandal. So all that's to say, if you want more information, there's a ton out there. We're not experts at this. I definitely am not an expert at a lot of this stuff. I just kind of know a little bit from having grown up watching wrestling and then just kind of following it a little bit more, at least, some of the more historical stuff as I've gotten older. What I did want to specifically note is that some of the clips that are going to play, so there's coverage from Inside Edition, 2 separate reports that are going to play. We have some clips from both of those. Both of those are specifically following the 1991 trial of Dr. George Zaharian, who was actually convicted of illegally supplying anabolic steroids. Anyway, the 91 case ends up leading to the 94 case. Again, I am not an expert about all this stuff. I just find it all kind of fascinating and interesting. It doesn't really play that much into Bart versus the Juggernauts, but because we talked about steroids here, I wanted to cut in for some of these clips and just kind of clear up some details. So what you're going to hear, again, you're going to hear some Inside Edition clips from, I believe, the 91 and 92. And then you're also going to hear a wrestler named Chili Willy, who is interviewed on Cheap Heat Productions podcast, talking about kind of his experience with meeting with Vince McMahon and the implication of getting his body right. And I think that's where a lot of this, these nuggets, and a lot of where I personally have a lot of distaste for Vince McMahon, especially because of how he's carried himself with regards to, because he was, not found guilty of, conspiracy or any of these charges that were brought against him, that means he's honorable and all that kind of stuff. There's other charges that are recently, and allegations that have recently surfaced about him. I feel confident in saying he will always be a piece of shit. And that's the bottom line, I guess. Anyway, I don't know how to close this out. You're going to hear these clips. Love y'all. Or no, I'm not going to say that. Oh, all right, yeah, you're going to hear these clips. Bye.
We're talking about the single most dangerous group of prescription drugs.
Anabolic steroids are powerful muscle-building, performance-enhancing drugs. Regular exercise plus steroids can transform a 98-pound weakling into a He-Man within just a few short months. But doctors are now saying that prolonged use of steroids can cause bone degeneration, sterility, and even cancer.
The better, more muscular, larger, stronger your appearance, the more money and more successful you'd be.
But to many wrestlers, like this one who wanted to remain anonymous, the potential dangers of steroid abuse just didn't matter.
All the pro wrestlers that I associated with at one time or another used steroids.
Did you feel compelled to take the steroids to remain competitive? Is that why you did it?
Correct.
Where were you getting them?
Well, initially, you could get them around the weight room until I met Dr. Zahorian.
Bruno Sammartino dominated pro wrestling through the 1960s and 70s. He was a color commentator with the WWF as recently as 1988. He remembers Dr. Zahorian appearing frequently in the wrestlers' locker rooms.
I think that all of a sudden there would be a line that would form to see Dr. Zaharian. Well, after a while, it was known by everyone what was going on. It's all these guys were getting their stuff.
They lined up.
Absolutely lined up.
To get steroids.
Yeah, sure.
Hulk Hogan, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Rick the Model Martel, Dangerous Dan Spivey, and Fly-In Brian Blair were all subpoenaed to testify at the trial. They all appeared, except for Hogan, who was excused, even though Dr. Zahorian stated that he had known and successfully treated him for a serious steroid abuse problem.
Dave Schultz is a former professional wrestler with the World Wrestling Federation. So is superstar Billy Graham. They both watched the Arsenio Hall show last July when their old wrestling friend Hulk Hogan appeared and made this statement.
But I trained 20 years, 2 hours a day to look like I do. But the things that I am not is I'm not a steroid abuser, and I do not use steroids.
I myself personally have injected Hulk Hogan with anabolic steroids.
I brought him into my home. I let him sleep in the house. I gave him food. And in return, he gave me steroids. He showed me how to use steroids.
And I'm sitting there thinking, whoa, this is Vince McMahon. I was marking out, you know what I mean? Out of all the people in the arena, I'm marking out because this is $1 billion guy. You know, you sitting there talking to $1 billion guy. I'm like, yo, you know. And I watched this guy ever since I was a kid, you know, him first being a commentator, and now he's the owner. I'm like, dang, you know. And so I'm sitting down talking to him, eating the sandwich, and he was like, you know, thanking me for, you know, my service in the military, and telling me how he, you know, is glad that I'm there and they want to put me in. You know, I think Paul Heyman was there because Paul was really the one who got me in the WWE when I got out of the military. And so he was just saying, yo, we want you to get your body right, because I had a military body, you know, not muscular, you know, but not out of shape neither, you know what I mean? But, you know, when you sit there and talking to Vince McMahon, you know, he knows what he's seeing right in front of you. And he's telling you, you know, in so many ways, get your body right. Get your body right. You know what I mean? No matter what, get your body right. So, and
did you get the impression he was referring to, like, get your body right? In other words, get on the gas?
No doubt. Definitely get on the gas. You know what I mean?
He was found not guilty. So we cannot say he was 100% absolutely unequivocally responsible for his wrestlers, many of whom who have admitted to taking steroids. We cannot say that he was responsible for that.
Feels very like O.J. Simpson, not guilty.
We can't say that.
Technically, we can't legally say that he did this.
We can't say that Vince McMahon was 100% responsible for the steroids in the World Wrestling Federation. We just can't say that because he was found not guilty. It would be irresponsible of us to say that Vince McMahon absolutely was pushing steroids on his wrestlers, creating a culture of toxicity wherein wrestlers had no choice but to juice to stay in shape and abuse painkillers, muscle relaxers, and other substances to stay in working performance, and is at best indirectly culpable for the death of Eddie Guerrero, who died from heart failure at 38 due to long-term use of anabolic steroids and the use of narcotics, or indirectly culpable for the murder-suicide of the Benoit family by wrestler Chris Benoit, a tragedy which also could have a line drawn from steroid use to the event, or CTE, something that one could say Vince hasn't ever given two shits about. One could say that, of course, we won't, because he was found not guilty.
Yeah, sounds like a great guy. No issues here. Unproblematic figure.
But yeah, so he was found not guilty of distribution of steroids in the 90s, and we can't say that he continued to be a piece of shit for decades after the trial while running a massive media empire. That's just opinion, baby. I'll just say, buckle the fuck up, folks, when we talk about Simpsons wrestling.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Anyway, so like there is this like massive specter, right, of like steroids in the 90s, steroids and drug abuse in the 90s, and Gladiators doesn't like come under necessarily the same scrutiny from what I understand as pro wrestling, because like pro wrestling, it is like profoundly like more of an issue from what I can see. Again, like you have one gladiator
deaths happening.
Yeah. And Eddie Guerrero dies later on in life, but like it's definitely tied to, like they have said, like it is likely the cause of it was likely years of steroid use and then narcotics use closer to when he did die. And then the Chris Benoit stuff is like likely that it was like something based in like steroid rage and also a lot of CTE stuff. So like, again, like all of that is, it fucking sucks. Like there's so much terrible shit in wrestling and I hate it. But American Gladiators is able to kind of like escape, I think, the worst of like the scrutiny of it, but they do end up putting in their own sort of checks and stuff like that in. But again, like there was a history of like anabolic steroid abuse in the 90s. Like it's also, and I'll also just say too, like it's not just wrestling, like bodybuilding had a steroid problem. In fact, there is a newer gladiator, I believe in the British show, who has openly admitted to using steroids when he was a bodybuilder, right? So like that was that was like a big that's like a big thing that like stories have been written about it, because like all of this is like tied in together. Anytime you have this, like you're trying to get like the body to look in like a specific way. I don't know. There's just like extra scrutiny placed on it. But Nitro, like I said, he's been open about his steroid use. They've speculated some other gladiators have juiced. Some that weren't necessarily interviewed in the documentary. I don't remember exactly who, but Nitro has said that he even went to like Mexico to get illegal steroids.
Jesus.
And gets stopped by Border Patrol and like basically lucks out because he's like, I have a son, and the Border Patrol agent is like, all right, I'm going to write you up for, because I think he had guns in his car too. He's like, I'm going to write you up for like guns. I'm going to throw these away, and like that's it. Like and then they put into place a checkpoint system for steroids and gladiators that basically was like, all right, we're going to start testing for steroids, and then they all like expected to come in and the next day be tested, but then it was like 6 months later.
Oh wow.
So it was basically like, we're going to start testing for this. You have time to get this out of your system, essentially.
Yeah.
So, you know, and also they never actually say what they do with like the results of the test. Like if anybody did like, so it's just one of those things where like they're investigating themselves. They find themselves not guilty. Bada bing, bada boom. We're all clean, you know, but anyway, it is of that era, right? Like, and I think again, when you're thinking about like the American culture piece of it, like, I don't know, there's something special about like the fact that like to get these peak performers, like you're juicing up with these like dangerous substances. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but
it's not great, whatever it is.
It's not great. A few more things. There's also like a tie into the military. This was never clear to me. I never knew this growing up, but the pugil sticks, which we've talked about as being like the Q-tip looking things, that's actually like a military training device. Not in the same way they use them, but like they're actually used for military training. I don't know exactly every single branch that uses them, but I know the Marines do. I actually asked my dad, who's a former Marine, and I was like, did you ever use pugil sticks? And he was like, yes, I did. And I was like, what do
you do with it?
Like, what is the point of it? And from what he said, and then what I've seen online too, is like, I guess you can learn to use your like rifle as like in different ways. Like that's the point.
No, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But it is still just kind of like wild that like they're using this military training device as a thing to like joust people off of a platform.
They're so silly looking. I'm sorry. They're so silly.
They are silly looking. I mean, I don't think real pugil sticks look quite like that, but like
if they had just changed the color scheme of it and not made the tips white, it would have helped so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why they did that. In later seasons, they look a little better, but they still look like Q-tips.
Sure.
The other thing I would note is that in terms of the military connection as well, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, just these are just the facts, folks.
Yeah.
There was an individual who they referred to as Sarge who trained the contenders to take on the gladiators, who was a drill instructor I believe in the Marines, and then he ends up marrying Blaze, who's a really dope ass gladiator. I actually love her. And they've been married for like 30 years, which is awesome.
Good for them.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. But again, military connection too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started talking about this briefly. I did want to mention there is some there's both queerness and anti-queerness with this show. One of the original cast members, Lori Fetrick, who portrayed Ice, is openly gay. And she was openly gay at the time that she was on the show. And one of the things she talks about in the documentary was that none of the gladiators that she worked with cared.
Being gay on the American Gladiators, in the 90s, it was taboo. We weren't supposed to talk about it.
So you're like ready to cut this because we're tired of playing.
I remember Johnny Ferraro, our creator, he basically told me, he pulled me aside and said, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't bring your girlfriend on set. That's not the image we want to have. And if you saw the glare in my eye looking at this man when he said that to me, I think that's probably the first that I felt, how dare you? I just looked at him and walked away. On set with the other gladiators, everybody was cool with it. They helped me through the time of the entire show, to be honest with you. So when we would go to parties and everything, and it wasn't so much production and all that, we were all able to I was able to bring my girlfriend, and they loved her.
Being gay, being anything, there was no judgment. No racial, nothing amongst the gladiators. The stuff we got, basically, was from the outside, or higher-ups, maybe.
We didn't think nothing of it. It wasn't as it is now. Just, okay. Yeah. And she was comfortable with it, so it wasn't even any issues.
I thought Ice was very good at speaking the truth, no matter what the situation was. And I like to see that in people. I just love that, Ice.
When she goes to bring in her girlfriend on set, the producers and the show creator was like, no, you can't do that. Which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Especially because
I'm not surprised though.
I'm not surprised either.
At all.
It's the added that early 90s homophobia.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. It's a very particular sort of I won't commit a hate crime against you. I'm that tolerant, but I still don't want you anywhere near me, and I still look down on you because of it.
Yeah, you can do what you want to do. I just don't want to see it. And it's
yeah,
you.
Not to just constantly bring up Power Rangers, but it's just funny because it's other. That was what happened with David Yost with Power Rangers, and it was just we'll keep you on the show, but we're gonna constantly make you feel bad for being a gay man, and actively not let you be a superhero at a certain point. The more out you are, it's just it's sort of you should be thankful that we gave you a job at all, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I will say too, I like Lori a lot. I think she was my favorite, in watching the documentary. She actually tells a really fun story of when they were out on the road, and there's a lot of just wild shit in that documentary, but she talks about when they're on tour, how two of the gladiators are oh, we're gonna place a bet and see two of the guys were place a bet and see who can get that girl or whatever.
All I want to say is you're the king.
No, you're getting away from the question. How many women have you had on the trip?
Whatever I had, it's no comparison to you, I'm sure.
Fuck you!
I remember we were in Chicago, and there was this girl. All the guys saw her before, and then we, being the dumb, young 25-year-old guys we said, I bet you I can get a date with her. I'll bet you dinner.
They were all laying bets. And I was just I didn't know this at first, but they were literally laying bets on who was going to get this girl, Nitro or myself.
And Ice was like, you guys are such morons. You guys don't bet, on who can take a girl out or who can connect with a girl. You guys are losers. I remember she did this losers and she walked away.
This particular show was a hot contestant. Every one of us worked it with her. We said, we're gonna be up at Shooters in Milwaukee, come on up, it's just a short drive. She goes, I'll be there, and we're like, yeah. We make it up there, and this girl doesn't show up. And we're like, oh gosh, I can't believe that, that she didn't show up.
The next morning comes around. We're getting ready to get on the tour bus, and I know everybody goes in the lobby, and everybody waits in the lobby, right? I had to do this, just get him. I waited until the last minute because who came down that lobby on my arm was that girl.
Holy shit.
Which is awesome, but also it's just very funny that obviously there's just a lot of just wild shit that happens when you're touring with these roided up people.
Yeah, it's wild.
But I will also just say I think it is wild to me that they would be. It's the 90s, so it's not wild, but the show, I don't think you have to stretch to really see how the show would appeal to a queer audience.
We say that now though, but when you're a straight person, an ignorant straight person in 1991 or whatever, those wires don't connect.
True.
There's
true.
and also like aesthetics change too. A lot of stuff that like queer people latch on to now were just common aesthetics in the 80s and 90s. Like crop tops
Fair.
on men, we only consider it like gay as shit now because they eventually fell out of style, and only gay men are like continued with that style. Like that's the only reason, you know, at this point in time, wearing a crop top is just like a thing that you would see muscly dudes with abs wearing because they can show off their fucking abs, you know?
That is fair.
I think there's a lot of that here. It's not to say that it isn't homoerotic, but I think it makes but I think that is so persistent throughout history of sort of like, this is obviously the gayest shit in the world, but if you're straight, you just cannot even perceive that because you don't even have that frame of reference, you know?
I mean, prime example, like, there's a lot written about like Roman gladiators. Now,
yeah,
it's like
they were all sucking each other's dicks constantly. Like, are you kidding me?
Like constantly. Like I was like, there's stories about how there's stories about how like some very famous like Roman gladiators were lovers, and like there's like it's just like I don't know. I guess you're right. Like, but that is with a more like looking back historically, like we're able to look at it now. But even then, like we're like a lot of people would look back at it and be like, huh, this art, like, yeah, it depicts them in the throes of wrestling. And it's like, does it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
It's the common, like, obviously they were friends. And it's like, no, what are you talking about?
But that is fair. The only thing I will also note is that like, I think a lot of folks have like, and again, this is maybe with like looking back with like a different mindset, but like a lot of folks have said like they remember watching American Gladiators and like realizing they were queer from it, or like
Absolutely.
like which makes total sense.
Makes sense.
Like,
yeah.
But like, yeah, I guess you're right. I wasn't thinking about like the placing it in time of like fashion and things like that. But.
Yeah, it's a nice like rosy view of it, that it's just like, yeah, obviously everyone should have been able to see that this was like super queer, but it's like people, I mean, even today straight people can look at the gayest shit ever and just be like, no, that's very straight, what are you talking about? Like, it's just super easy for people to put those blinders on until they actually like meet a queer person in their life, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I will also note too, like Lori was also interviewed after that documentary came out, and she was like, do you think there could have been like an openly gay man like gladiator? And she was like, I'm sure they could have. I think the guys probably wouldn't want to like to change in front of them. And it's just like, makes sense. That was the 90s. Like that places it perfectly, like in, you know, my mindset, like they're anyway. Yeah. So there is that element to the show as well. And I did want to just call attention to it, especially because like, again, Ice, and I think there might've been one other gladiator who was like openly gay too, but I can't remember who it was. I think that was mentioned in the documentary, but
gotcha.
Anyway, other quick odds and ends. I didn't really have a good place to put some of this stuff, but I just wanted to mention it. The show's theme music was produced by Bill Conti. Conti has composed scores for like a ton of blockbusters: Rocky 1 through 3, Rocky 5, Rocky Balboa, the Karate Kids films minus the reboot, Masters of the Universe, Broadcast News, The Adventures of Huck and Finn, and just like so many more.
Wild. What a wild spread too.
How did they get him like to do that? Like, it is fascinating.
It's so funny.
I also have some images in here. So season 2 of Powerball, which is one of the events, was sponsored by Nintendo, which is fun.
It's all connected.
All connected. And then, speaking of Nintendo, there was an American Gladiators video game released in 1991.
Of course.
This is the one that we have to listen to because the sound effects were astounding. Just listen for the elimination noise.
Okay. This music is fascinating. Oh my god! What? Dude! Holy shit, they fucking killed him! Like,
the
murdered.
scream!
The screaming! What?
It is absolutely absurd. It is absurd, Derek. Like, what were they doing?
Jesus!
Yeah. Not important at all, but like also
That's
really
like
fucking entertaining.
Nightmarish.
God, yeah. So that was the game. I've not played it, but I have heard people say that it is not great. I watched a little bit of the playthrough. It looks fine to me. you know, especially compared to some of the stuff we've played, like I feel like it was probably okay. I will also note that it also, so Gladiators ends up spinning off and like other things are inspired by it, of course. One of the main ones was Gladiator 2000, which ran for 2 seasons from 1994 to 1996, and it was the children's version of the show. Ryan Seacrest hosted, along with Maria Sansone in season 1 and Valerie Ray Miller in season 2.
Damn, so this is like baby Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, it is. It combined, quote, educational programming with quizzes, skits, and competition pieces about healthy eating, peer pressure, hygiene, saying no to drugs, and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
I think it was, I mean, you all talked about this on a Gimmicks episode about like whatever the
my God, American Drug Association? Is that what it was? No,
something,
was it the ADA?
It wasn't
Oh my God.
I don't think it was the ADA, but it was like whatever gave money to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's I don't talk about. Listen to our Gimmicks episode on Sabrina the Teenage Witch of all things.
Pancakes.
The majority of that episode is a highly politicized conversation about the history of like the war on drugs in America, basically.
So yeah, so I think that like is probably part of this, right? Like they're probably getting money to do educational content, but we have. So I mentioned they have skits. We have to watch this skit together as well. So listen to this through 17 minutes and 1 second.
These two teams are playing for more than just pride. They're also playing for some great prizes for themselves and their schools. But before we can give away any of these great prizes, Ryan wants to talk about something very near and dear to him, his hair.
Now, everyone here has hair on their head.
Ryan.
But what do you guys really know about your hair?
You can cut it. You can wash it. You can lose it.
Well, you're all right. But understanding more about your hair will help you, if nothing else, stop worrying about it.
What?
You see, each strand of hair has a sebaceous gland at its
Why
root.
is he talking
And
about
these glands
hair?
produce oil. If they produce too much oil, they can leave your hair looking greasy and oily, which means you may have
What
to
does this have
shampoo
to do
every day.
with American
The
Gladiators?
proper way to shampoo is to wet your hair.
He's teaching them
lather
how
up,
to wash
rinse
their
out
hair?
all the stuff, lather up a second time, then rinse again.
Ryan
This is
Seacrest
also
on
known as
American Gladiators
lather,
is just
rinse,
teaching
repeat.
children how to
Now make sure
wash
you get all
their
the shampoo
hair.
out of
He
your
also
hair,
mentions
or
lather,
it
rinse,
can
and
leave
repeat.
behind a residue of goo.
The
which
thing
will
that
keep your
everyone
hair looking
knows
oily.
that's
Now,
on
the
every
amount of
bottle.
oil produced by the sebaceous glands
Hold
also
on, it
has
gets
something
better.
to do
Just
with what
wait.
type of hair
Just
you
wait.
have. You see, baby fine hair means that you have more hair per square inch than somebody with thicker hair. The more hair, the more glands, the more oil you have to deal with. Now, redheads have the fewest strands of hair, while blondes have the most.
Really? I didn't know that. Is that true?
I have no idea.
Hair is basically made up of protein. You see, eating foods rich in protein like fish, poultry,
Also,
whole
this
grains,
fucking
and
like
even milk.
low
It goes on
frame-
forever,
Whole body,
right?
Including your
Jittery
hair.
low
Look
frame rate, like
feel
zooming
healthier.
in and out constantly, handheld camera
about the
thing.
hair that falls
It's
out
made
when I brush
so
my
big
teeth?
in 90s stuff, but it's so fucking
absolutely.
obnoxious.
You see, each hair follicle has its own natural
Oh my
life
God,
cycle.
he's still
And a healthy
talking.
head, hair
These
replaces
kids look so
itself all the
bored.
time. So you shouldn't worry about that.
Well, my dad's bald. Does that mean I will be too?
That's
Why
another
is
thing
this
you shouldn't
on this
worry about.
television
You see,
show?
male pattern baldness is actually inherited from your mom's side of the family. So, check out your mom's
weird.
dad and your mom's granddad. If it's in the family, there's really nothing you
Shouldn't
can do
the
about
kids
it.
be like
But
on an
remember,
obstacle
good
course right
nutrition,
now?
Protecting your
Oh, they
hair from
will.
the sun by wearing a hat,
Eventually.
and regular shampooing
What the
can help
fuck,
keep your
dude?
hair healthy and lasting longer. Right, Shirley?
What is this?
Right. Ever wonder what it would feel like to be a human yo-yo?
And then I like how it cuts back and he just goes, ever wonder what it would feel like to be a human yo-yo?
Yo-yo? Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so they have a skit about like hygiene and washing your hair, and then a kid being like, my dad's bald, am I gonna go bald too? It's just like, what are we doing?
Jesus, that's like the definition of killing time. Like, that's
was-
all that is.
Also, how is that educational? None of that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
educational in telling kids to wash their fucking hair, which, like, I feel like your parents, these kids are like 12 years old. Like, they should know how to use
They know
shampoo
how to
at
wash
this
their
point.
hair.
What are you talking about?
It was so weird, but like, so they do have competitions. And so like, all right, the original show has the pyramid, right? Like that is an element of like an obstacle or an event rather, where they have to climb to the top of the pyramid, but the gladiators can like knock them down and like throw them off.
Yeah.
Gladiators 2000, the pyramid was the food pyramid, and kids had to climb and pull off different items from various different steps of the different food groups and bring them down before going to the top and hitting the buzzer. Like, that's how they like bake it in to be like educational. They also had like, I don't know, they had like bungee cords where they would like jump and try to get these balls that represented like various different forms of like nutrients, like fats and protein and carbohydrates. And it was like each one was worth a different point, but it was just like colored balls. Like, did you ever watch this show, or was this just like completely miss you?
Did not know this existed. I'm in awe of this.
I didn't think I watched it, but when I watched the swing shot game, which is the one I was just talking about, I think I realized, I was like, oh no, this does sound really familiar. Like, this seems really, really familiar. So I think I at least watched like an episode of it or something like that. But the other thing that was cool about it was like real gladiators were like coaching the kids. Like, the kids never went up against gladiators.
That's fun.
They were just competing against each other, and then there was like quiz elements and stuff like that to it too, which was kind of cool. Like when they did like the maze, there were different questions that like would lead them to a locked door or an unlocked door, which that's fine.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But yeah, so like
it's a fun idea.
Yeah, there was that. There was also the Nickelodeon Gas show. I forget what it was called. That like ends up spawning out of America. We talked about it briefly. The other ones we talked about, and then Grown Up Gladiators. So back to Grown Up Gladiators. The show, like I said, it ends in the 90s. It ends up being revived in 2008. Of course, it's during the 2007-2008 Writers Guild strike, because they can bring back, reality shows and don't have to pay writers. But it brought on Hulk Hogan and Layla Ali, the professional boxer and daughter of Muhammad Ali. It only lasted for 2 seasons. But there have been other revivals planned. There was a revival planned in 2014 and then 2018. Wildly, the 2014 revival planned to bring in elements of the Hunger Games.
Of course it did.
Don't know why, but it did.
There's going to be another one that's bringing in elements of Squid Game or whatever.
Sure.
Like, it's,
I will note that there was talks in 2021 to do a version with pro wrestlers. And then the BBC actually rebooted the Gladiator show in the UK this year to pretty big success. And then in June, Deadline reported that Amazon was ordering a reboot of the show for Prime Video, and it's actually currently casting. So
not a surprise.
We're going to see Gladiators again, probably, for better or worse.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's an easy concept. I totally get it. Yeah. Just because I felt bad for not remembering the drug thing, Office of National Drug Control Policy, ONDCP, and also the Partnership for a Drug-Free America. I just looked up the description to our Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode on Gimmicks, so definitely give that a listen if you haven't. It's one of my favorites that we ever did.
It's great. It's awesome. But that's great. Anything else on Gladiators? That was all I had.
Oh, that's all you had? You don't have another hour and a half of conversation about this show?
Probably somewhere.
Probably too. Yeah, no, I'm good. Weird show. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. Well, we can talk about another TV show now. The Simpsons. Derek, do you want to talk about the nearest episode to this one?
Yes, roughly. So technically the nearest episode is probably Camp Krusty, but we kind of already talked about that one with Bart escapes Camp Deadly, since that was another camp-related episode. So rather than just talk about that one again, when we have one more chance to talk about season 3, because we're talking about Brother, Can You Spare 2 Dimes from season 3, episode 24, listed as the last episode of that season. According to IMDb, the synopsis was after Homer, quote-unquote, wins a $2,000 settlement from the planet due to radiation-induced sterilization. His half-brother Herb sees an opportunity to regain his fortune.
How was your day at work, dear?
Oh, the usual. Stand in front of this, open that, pull down this, bend over, spread apart that, turn your head that way, cough.
Sir, I'm afraid Homer Simpson is sterile.
Who?
One of your cabbage heads from Sector 7G. Take a look at this sperm sample from his recent physical. Now, compare this with a normal sperm sample.
Oh, yes.
I'm afraid radiation from the plant is the reason he's shooting blanks. He could sue us for millions.
Mother of pearl, call my lawyers. Before you begin, let me make one thing clear to you. I want your legal advice. I even pay for it. But to me, you're all vipers. You live on personal injury. You live on divorces. You live on pain and misery. But I'm rambling. Anybody want any coffee?
I'll have some coffee.
Want it black, don't you? Black like your heart? It's so hard for me to listen to you. I hate you all so much.
Yeah, and just as an FYI, this is one of those weird situations where because Stark Raving Dad, which was the Michael Jackson episode of The Simpsons, is not on Disney Plus for a variety of reasons. It was requested to be removed from by the creators themselves. So this isn't a woke mind virus issue, guys.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a joint agreement after was the documentary Finding Neverland? I think that was the documentary that had come out. Because it's not just that Michael Jackson is in an episode of The Simpsons, but I think it's an episode about Michael Jackson kind of courting Bart and
befriending
him. And also Michael Jackson pitched that idea for he was like, I really love Bart and I want to come on an episode and be his friend. So it was just too tied up into all of that I think it was Al Jean specifically was just it just makes sense to just not have that be widely available right now. Or ever, you can still find it on DVD and very easily on the internet if you want. But all that's to say, that's not related to this. It's just, that was the first episode of season 3. That's not there. So if you look on Disney Plus, for example, this is listed as episode 23 of the season. But the one we're talking about is the Danny DeVito episode, the second Danny DeVito episode.
Yeah, I used to be rich. I owned Mickey Mouse massage parlors. And those Disney sleazeballs shut me down. I said, look, I'll change the logo, put Mickey's pants back on. Some guys you just can't reason with.
Well, I used to own a successful car company. My strategy was giving them Japanese names. You guys ever drive a tempura hatchback?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, I got hit by one of those.
Yeah. Life was sweet. Then I found out I had a long-lost half-brother.
Homer? Herb?
I let him design a car that would make or break my company.
Presenting the Homer.
I'm ruined! Forbes magazine called it the blunder of the century. A little overblown, don't you think? What about New Coke?
Hey, I invented that.
Yeah, but all that's in the past. Because this is America. And in America, you're never finished as long as you've got a brain in your head. Because all a man really needs is an idea.
Well, I'm licked. Me too.
I forgot that Danny DeVito played Herb until I went back and rewatched this. But
yeah, it's the thing that was big in the early years because he made these 2 consecutive appearances over season 2 and 3, and you'd think he would go on to be more of a recurring character. He really barely gets mentioned. He's had little cameos here and there, but they haven't. I don't. To my memory, I don't think they've ever done another Herb centric episode ever. For I don't really know why necessarily, but I hope it's not Danny DeVito hated it or anything. I don't think that's the case.
I will say, and we can talk about details about the episode, but it wasn't one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons. Not for any reason other than it's just kind of boring.
The first Herb episode's really good and really dark. And I think literally the only reason this episode existed is I feel it's just let's just give him a win. Because this episode, honestly, it's weirdly a happy ending where everything goes right for everyone and then it's over. It's a weird feeling. And this is not a Conan O'Brien episode. This is a John Swartzwelder episode, which is why, there's weird elements of baby translating machines. That's part of the plot. But I think Swartzwelder normally will do wilder shit and darker stuff, and it makes me feel maybe he wasn't allowed to go that hard on it. But it's a lot of fun stuff.
There's some cool visuals in this episode when Homer's in the Spine Master 2000, I think is the chair, and he turns it all the way up to high and like it starts
Yeah.
doing like
Yeah.
his face changing colors. Like,
Yeah.
that was rad.
Yeah, it's still got a lot of my favorite individual jokes. Like it has like the sperm joke with seeing Homer's head and Smithers' head on sperm. I fucking love when Simpsons shows Simpson heads on sperm. It's just such a funny visual, and I love that the show did that. It like maybe invented that, honestly. I love the bit at the very beginning with Lenny just showing up naked to the power plant like inspection thing. Because he just like, of course, just some days just doesn't wear underwear, and now he has to go to the not inspection. What do you call that? What do they call
physical.
it?
The plant physical.
The plant
Yeah.
physical. Duh. Oh, and the whole drinking bird thing. Homer's obsession with the drinking bird. I always love that because that's been like a recurring element.
It's a
in the
recurring
show.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also note too, like, there's some pretty good Burns bits in this episode. I think when he's like berating the lawyers.
It's so good.
It was weird, but it was also very funny. He was like, I couldn't get what that honestly just felt like one of the writers just like attacking lawyers.
I mean,
which is fine.
that feels like a John Swartzwelder thing, honestly, just because he likes giving people just random rants and things. So,
yeah, there was that. It's also weirdly topical because I think there's been some memes. I mean, we shared memes from this, but I actually saw memes about the couch sharing on social media related to a specific vice presidential candidate. Even before I shared something about it, because it's all surrounding around the couch getting broken. And it's the couch getting broken because the kids are playing an Olympic game, which is also timely.
Keep those pick legs coming, Mo.
You clean me out, Smoking Joe. What's the matter, Homer? Come up on too tight?
I miss my couch.
I know how you feel. You lost the couch. I lost the heavyweight championship.
Heavyweight championship. There's like 3 of those. That couch was one of a kind.
Homer, I know things are tough now, but one day you'll be walking along and you'll see a piece of furniture you can love just as much.
And then I'd also note too, oh gosh, who is the boxer? There's a boxer in it, right?
Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier.
Right? Yeah.
Which is not like an American Gladiator, but it is still like there's a boxing element to the game we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Like there's a lot of connective tissue in this that like we usually don't see when we're looking at the episodes in connection with the game, but like it's strange.
When they're doing the living room Olympics, I was just like, how the fuck? Like, how is this happening?
Very strange.
So
very,
wild.
very strange.
So
And then the
wild
couch
timing.
breaks and I was like, no, seriously, what's happening right now?
Yeah, Olympics, couch obsessions. The timing is just too weird for this. I don't understand. Yeah. And then, oh my God, I mean, there's the clip that was going around. Again, all the JD Vance stuff. It's just so fucking funny. It's like my favorite political meme happening right now. But one of them was like the clip from Always Sunny where it's Danny DeVito like being birthed
Coming out
by
of
a
the
couch.
chair.
And it's Danny DeVito's in this fucking episode.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So good. Also, I was just like looking up and I think Danny DeVito didn't love doing this episode. So I think it maybe Herb hasn't come back because he just doesn't really enjoy doing the show, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wild. I mean, I can understand that, like, especially, but it's wild that he wouldn't have come back later. He probably has come back.
He's done like cameos. He's just never done a full episode and stuff. And I don't know that Herb's that interesting of a character, to be honest. I think I think that's the problem with this episode. I think the first Herb episode, I love that episode. I think the episode's great, but I think kind of the joke is that they're playing on a very soap opera-y concept of a secret brother, and then the Simpsons ruin it, and they ruin him. And it's like if the Simpsons found out they had like a secret rich family member, just as plenty of other sitcoms have done, they would be the ones to just fuck it up and just destroy that person's life. They did the joke. There isn't really much more of a joke to there. So this episode is just like, well, what if he makes an invention, he gets rich again and it's fine? And it's like, there's really no satire or comedy to that, honestly, you know?
It really feels like it feels like it should have ended with like the baby translator being wrong or something like that because it's Maggie or something.
I think he should have failed again, and the only reason he didn't is because everyone felt bad about how his life was ruined in the last episode that he was in, and it's like, no, but that's kind of the comedy of it though. And like, sorry, we don't have to spend that much time on this episode because we have a game to get to, but it's like I think the thing that I like about that his first appearance in the second season, like, it's upsetting that he like loses his fortune thanks to Homer, but it's still like his fault that he gives Homer like carte blanche power to design a car with all of his money with like no approvals and never checks it. Like, it still ultimately is his hubris allowing Homer to do this. Like, why would you just let any random person, brother or not, half brother or not, like run your business basically with like no past experience? It makes no sense. Like, he did it to himself. So to then just be like, yeah, but he was a genius all along, right? And it's like, not really.
No,
like, kind of wasn't actually. So why are you giving him this gift?
his whole conceit is all you need is an idea, and like then it turns out like, well, all you need is an idea and $2,000. But it's like, I don't know what I don't know what the message of that is supposed to be, or what I'm supposed to take away from that.
I think it's just like, this episode's fine, but it feels weirdly more like a traditional sitcom than this era of The Simpsons especially was. It's not like, I don't need Simpsons to always subvert everything, but this in particular feels like they actively were not subverting a normal sitcom thing. The only thing weird about it was just the baby translator. It feels like a TGIF sitcom, to be honest.
Yes, and especially because Simpsons does sitcom elements where there's something that's like heartwarming or like very like touching that works very well. But they also like they'll undercut like a lot of times where there'll be jokes in it. But like I'm thinking of like episodes with like Homer's mom, like those always are like very heartwarming, but like it just didn't really feel like touching or anything like that with this one. It was just
everybody wins.
Like, whatever.
It's just everybody wins at the end, and it's like, okay, I guess so. It's just not very Simpsons.
I'm glad you felt that way, because I was a little worried, because I was like, is this? I know that Herb is like, because of the first episode, like people love that first episode, and I do too.
Yeah.
I was like, is Herb supposed to be like? I didn't honestly even remember this episode. Like, to be quite honest with you,
I think it's other than a few. There's some standout jokes, but it's really forgettable otherwise.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad that we kind of were on the same page about it, because I was like, is there something wrong with me like watching this? I just didn't like feel anything watching this episode.
No. The only other thing that I like, the only joke I like was the caption, "Meanwhile below the poverty line." I found
that's a good joke.
That's very good.
That's a good joke.
Very funny.
I like that. They also like take a shot at New Coke or something like that. And
yeah.
Again, there's good individual elements.
The very meta, like, there's no way my life could get any worse. And then they just like pause for a very, very long time. And then he restates it again before then Mr. Burns calls him in the office. Like, that's the kind of like kind of subversion of sitcom stuff that the show does really well. That's like missing from the actual plot, unfortunately.
Yeah. 100%. Like, it just felt really weird.
Yeah.
It's an episode.
It's fine. It's fine. It's not offensive. It's just, the show can do better usually.
Yep.
Yeah.
As far as just characters, we're still at season 3. This is the end of season. This is the end of season 3. So we're at a cool 103 characters at this point still. So not that it matters. Well, actually, no, it does matter, because we do get a new character introduced in this game, 2 technically, in a sense. We don't get 2 new characters introduced in the game. There are 2 characters that are newish that we haven't seen in Simpsons games before, introduced in this game.
Okay. I'm not sure what you're talking about, so it'll be a surprise to me.
In terms of the game itself, the studio development and stuff like that, like we mentioned at the top, this game was developed by Imagineering and Acclaim, and we've talked at length about both of them in the past. If you really want the full story of Acclaim, or the one that we told, you can go back and listen to episode 4, where we talk about Bart versus the world, and it's all wild, and not going to go over that again. But if you want to go listen to that, you can go listen to that, because we talk about it all there. As has been the case with a lot of these games, there's like not a ton to report on, because there's just not a lot of details out there. They just didn't do a good job of keeping a lot of the details down. One thing that did come up during our last episode that's been evident as we've been talking about these games is that the marketing of the Simpsons games has just been like so like smushed together in a sense. I think David was one who mentioned, and this might even be what he was talking about, there's a spread that I pulled in from a magazine that like basically shows all of the games that are coming out in like this period of time, which has been a marketing method that we've seen for these games previously. Like there was, I think, for Versus the World, versus Space Mutants, and then Escape from Camp Deadly, there was like a commercial that had like all three of them together, right? And then there was a commercial that they did that had like 5 different Simpsons games all mentioned like in the same time. This is the kind of same thing. It's just like the next iteration of that.
Yeah.
There's a spread that has Bart's Nightmare on SNES, which we will talk about very soon. Bart Meets Radioactive Man, and then Bart versus the Juggernauts on Game Boy, and then it also has a mention for Krusty's Funhouse as well.
This makes me so excited for these other games though, because
it does.
I mean, this like that image is would just be such a good banner. Like, there's so many cool character designs. Homer, Kong, and Momthra. Like, it's literally like Marge as Mothra and Homer as Kong. That's so fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who half these monsters, like I recognize the Space Mutants. I don't know who half these monsters are. The fucking like lobster guy or crab guy. Like, this looks fucking awesome. Bart's Nightmare better be a fucking killer game, because I'm
gonna
hyped
be a
for
banger.
it now.
I do love how they mention Krusty's Funhouse, because it is like the tiniest of tiny mentions. It's like a little call out box on the second page, which says, and don't miss out on Krusty's Funhouse on SNES, NES, Game Boy, Genesis, and Game Gear. And then it just has a little mouse. It's just like, I feel like they just realized they didn't call attention to that game, and it was also something people could buy, and they needed to.
Funny, and they were just like, I'll just put it in the corner. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hey kids, it's the Golden Joystick Award. The most unsportsmanlike conduct on Game Boy. Bart versus the Juggernauts. The best superhero performance on NES. Bart Man meets Radioactive Man. The best performance on SNES. Oops, Bart's Nightmare. I don't believe it. Why, you little...
Look for a winning Simpsons video game for every system.
Don't forget Krusty's Funhouse. Look at my touch man, it's winning.
Oh. Jumping to the team that worked on this, all of these are going to be familiar names. So this was designed by Dan Kitchen and Barry Marks. We talked about both of them, multiple episodes. Programming was by Bill Janet and Tom Height. Bill Janet was also credited as the artist, and the composer was Mark Van Heck. Again, the only new name here, there's one new name, and it is Bill Janet. And Bill has credits on like 19 different games across from, I think, 1991 to 1999. Pretty much all of them are tie-in games in connection with Acclaim. Most of his credits are design or graphics, but he's also credited as project manager on Home Improvement, Power Tool Pursuit. And like I said, his credits are just for that like kind of 8-year period. His last project was Pong The Next Level, which released for Game Boy, Mac, PlayStation, and Windows. He is currently the Chief Technology Officer for ARCAT, a company that provides architectural information for architects, spec writers, and engineers. I just thought that was wild. I was like, he's just a CTO somewhere. Like, he was a game designer, and he's just like a CTO.
That's
what?
wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to have the opposite trajectory. I want to leave my job and go to work on games. Anyway, that's it for the background on the game. Not a ton.
Yeah. I mean,
not a ton.
Not a ton to the game itself either.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay, here's my grand universal take on this game is that I thought at the start I was actually really excited because I thought they had a really nice structure, and I thought there was just a lot of going to be a lot of avenues to do interesting little mini games essentially, and a great avenue to tell jokes and a great avenue to just spot like Simpsons characters, which like doing Simpsons jokes and Simpsons characters and Simpsons references like far and away more than any other Simpsons game
what else
you've got,
do you need?
right? That's what you want. That would make this game. And at the start, it seems like that because you're already getting like, oh, every level is like hosted by by a pre-existing Simpsons character, and sometimes will reference them in some way, somehow, or a setting or something like that. And you get these little interstitials with jokes and stuff. I was so excited about that because I'm like, even if this game isn't necessarily going to be fun to play, at least the Simpsons aspect of it is right there. My heart sank when they first started repeating things. And it's like,
yes,
not only do you get the same stages over and over again with seemingly no changes whatsoever, like it doesn't even up the difficulty, but then like that was bad enough that I'm sort of like, okay, if it's a rushed game and they're just repeating stages, whatever, at least we get some jokes. But then when the fucking jokes and the commentary is the same over and over again, there's like 3 instances of dialogue and then they just repeat that every time. I was honestly like devastated and more disappointed than I normally am, because it's like, you set my expectations really high. That at least I'll get some funny content, because the jokes at the beginning are good, but then you just get the same ones over and over again. And I'm like, it just is obviously just like filler. They're just padding out the game by repeating everything for no reason. And I was just like, so uniquely disappointed compared to the others, because of the others, at least it's sort of like, well, I get this is going to be disappointing. This one, it's sort of like, you set me up and then just did not deliver, like, which is so much worse for me, honestly.
Here's, I was going to talk about this in final thoughts, but I agree with all of that. Here's what I would add to that. I actually think like some of the mini games in this are really fucking fun.
Sure. Some
of the mini games actually are really good. Like, I think they did a good job on some of the mini games. I actually really like Joust. Well, it's not called Joust. It's called whatever the hell.
What
it's
is it called? Shove? Is that the Shove Fest?
No,
that's not
Nuclear Power Plant Bop Till You Drop.
That's what it is. Yeah.
We'll go through all of these, but I like that minigame. I hated it at first, but I really liked it. And one of the reasons why, so we talked about when we did our like episode 1, I was like, I love like, Souls-like games and like Dark Souls-esque games. And like, there's an element to those games where that like, this is the Bop Till You Drop is like the most basic. If you distilled the combat down of like a Dark Souls game into a mini game like this, it would be that. And so I was funny. Like, it's like at first I was like, this sucks. And then I finally started to get it. And I was like, oh no, wait, I have to back off. He's going to regain some health. It's almost like there's like this stamina management aspect to it. I would love to play that game over again. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to have to play through multiple other mini games to get to that game. So like my biggest critiques of this are there's no replay function for the mini games. And then that you are forced to replay mini games. Like, and that seems counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you think about progression in the game. I can't play Bop Till You Drop until you get to week 2, which we'll talk about how the game is structured in a second. You can't play that without playing through the first 2 sets of mini games, which are fine. Like, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I think the skateboarding mini game is fine. Like, it's fun. But like, I want to just go in and play more of Bop Till You Drop because I really like that. I don't understand why I'm forced to play it later on. Like, I'm sure a lot of people probably hate that minigame and are like don't want to play it later on. But like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if there was a minigame selector, that would make way more sense. Or if the game was structured instead of how they structure it, which is like, week 1, like you have these 2 mini games to choose from. Week 2, you have these 3 mini games to choose from. If you could just like pick any of the mini games across all of them to play, and then you earn money doing that, like that would make so much more sense to me.
Absolutely.
Like, and so it's just like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then also like there's the element of that it's like super punishing. Like if you game over at any point, you go all the way back to the beginning, which again, there's no way to then play the minigame that like is very fun and that like you do want to play until you actually get to it. So it's like, there's like all of these elements tied up in it that like were just not well executed in how the game is actually structured. That makes the game very disappointing in this. Like I 100% agree with everything you're saying, because like, it doesn't make any sense how they put this together.
No.
Like, it just doesn't.
And there's so much potential there. It's like such an easy, I think the idea is pretty genius.
Yeah,
honestly.
It is. I actually think this is a very well thought out, or I think that the concept is very well thought out.
Yeah.
I don't think that they just execute on it very well.
No.
So to give listeners a lay of the land, if you haven't played this game, I would recommend trying this game because I don't think it's not like some of the other games where I don't think you're going to walk away from this one too frustrated necessarily. Once you like figure out what you need to do, like there is an element of like, there's an element of having fun learning what you need to do. Mm-hmm. But so anyway, I would say try it out because I think the other thing that's nice about this is like, you don't have to play through the entire game. Once you've played every single mini game, just quit. There's no reason to keep going. Like there's no reason to keep going. But the game is broke up into competition weeks, and then each week there's different mini games that you have to play in order to earn money and progress to the next week. Like Derek said, there's lots of dialogue that occurs in each week, but it's really cute to start, but then it just like gets really repetitive after a while. I did put in like the full like opening, and they basically just say live from the Springfield Arena.
It's Kent Brockman talking to Marvin Monroe as well.
Yeah.
Which is a fun, weird pairing. I love that.
Marvin Monroe has been represented in pretty much every game that we've played up to this point.
They fucking love that dude. Everybody, like a butt Matt Groening, fucking loved that guy. Like, it's so funny.
It is so weird to me. Like, because my biggest reference point for Marvin Monroe is the 100th episode spectacular. I think it's 100th episode spectacular where they have the joke of like, which two popular Simpsons characters died recently? And it was like Marvin Monroe and Bleeding Gum Murphy. And it was like, if you guessed these two, you were wrong because they were never popular.
It's such a good joke.
It's a good joke.
Yeah.
But yes, it's Kent Brockman and Marvin Monroe. They're kind of the commentators for this entire game. And yeah, it just kind of starts out live from the Springfield Arena. Welcome to another edition of Juggernauts, the show that invites you to win big prizes by taking on a series of pumped up hulking brutes and takes no legal responsibilities for any injuries you might sustain.
Love that. Fun.
Good joke. I will note it is a little weird that Bart's head is just floating there the whole time.
I don't fucking get that. It's a weird design choice.
It's because they had to. Like otherwise, imagine if this was just Kent Brockman and Marvin Monroe looking at each other with word bubbles. Kids would be like, "What the fuck? What is this?" Like you have to have Bart there. It's the allure of Bart. Like he has to be there.
I guess so. Yeah.
I also just took this screenshot. At one point, they just say how much Bart weighs, which is 60 pounds, and they compare him to one of the Juggernauts, which is just like weird, but like whatever.
Well, no, I think because they do that on the show. They're sort of like, because they'll give like the title card of how, you know, how much they weigh and how tall they are and stuff like that in their experience. Right. And I think the joke, I actually think is a good joke, because the joke here is that like Bart's not in a kids tournament. He's like 4 foot, like weighing at 60 pounds. And it's like, well, yeah. And our smallest Juggernaut is like 6'2" and like 300 pounds. Like it's fine. They're an even match.
I think it's, oh God, what is her name? I should have put her name down, but it was like Squala?
I don't remember.
Something
I just
like
know that's
that.
the one they described as having cat-like fury, right?
Yeah. She's one of the ones that you battle in, I don't remember the name of the minigame right now, but I have it in the notes. Moe's Tavern, essentially. But
Moe's Tavern's Shove Fest.
That's it, yeah. And so, again, it's multiple weeks. There's 5 total weeks, I believe, or maybe 4. The first week, there are 2 minigames. So you start out 2 minigames. This is another weird choice where it's like, instead of just letting you pick the minigame you're going to play, it does this weird, like, going back and forth thing.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I don't get it. It doesn't, it's not like annoying and like doesn't,
because you have to play both
anything.
of them regardless. It's just all very
but again, like you have to pay both of them regardless. Why does it, whatever. Why did you have us do this weird game show like thing where it's like moving between the two and you have to pick one and whatever. The first two mini games you get are Dr. Marvin Monroe's Hop, Skip, and Fry, and then Captain Murdoch's Skateboard, Bash, and Crash. And Captain Murdoch is the character that we've not seen in a game before. Right.
Yeah, he has not shown up in a game, has he? Yeah, Lance Murdoch, the Daredevil from Bart the Daredevil is the episode, right?
Bart the Daredevil, Season 2, Episode 21, Bart the Daredevil.
The one with the famous Springfield Gorge jumping scene that we've seen 8 billion times.
And I think it's clever to tie in the Springfield Gorge jumping scene to this, because the goal of this game is, in Captain Murdoch's game rather, is you go down on this huge ramp and then you jump and you try to knock a gladiator off of their perch.
Makes sense. It's clever.
That is, and I put in, a lot of these are actually really drawn from American Gladiators.
Cool.
That is a reference to the game Human Cannonball in American Gladiators. In that game in American Gladiators, it's not a skateboard, it's someone on a rope and they kind of go across this gap and then just launch themselves at the gladiators. It was a terrible game, and someone actually gets pretty injured.
Holy
one of
fuck.
the gladiators does.
Yeah.
I actually have an image of the shot that the dude takes. He gets like fucking launched.
Holy
like,
shit.
literally feet off the ground launched.
Oof.
Because of course he does, because there's another human being coming at him on a goddamn rope. Like,
Yeah.
what? Anyway, the game itself, you go down. Skateboarding game. I will say I do like, there's a secret to this game. I don't know if you found this,
No, I
but if
couldn't
you go
figure it out, any of this one out at all.
if you go over the gladiator, there is a skateboard just hovering in the air. You can collect that and you get more money for collecting that, and then you get another shot to go down and knock the gladiator off.
Got it. I was flummoxed that the pizza was not a power-up, but a thing that damaged you.
Me too.
That
What
made
are
me
we doing?
really angry.
Pizza should always only ever be a power-up.
Yeah, pizza's never bad. Pizza should never damage you. Pizza is good and we like it. Why would pizza hurt me? It shouldn't.
Dude, oh my God, I'm glad you said that because I forgot about that.
So
I've
mad.
never in a game gotten pizza and it hurt me.
So weird. I mean,
so
I guess
weird.
in real life, pizza has certainly hurt me, but that's usually my fault, not the pizza's fault. For
But also
way
not
too
in
much
the
of it.
moment. It
That's
doesn't hurt you
true.
in the moment.
That's true.
Anyway, that was a fun mini game. I like that one.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Monroe's Hop, Skip, and Fry, the Gladiators reference to this one is, I would say, is Powerball.
Okay.
It's essentially like a mix of basketball and football, like where you just have to get like balls into hoops and the gladiators can tackle you and prevent you from doing it. It's kind of the same thing in the game, except in the game there are electrified tiles that you have to traverse, and then gladiators just kind of bouncing around that like block your path.
Yeah.
Or sorry, juggernauts. Using
Sure.
the wrong
You
term
know what
for
it
these
is.
guys.
Yeah, that also really confused me a lot. It is sort of weird. This is one where it was sort of like, it would have been so easy when they repeat this like 3 more times to just escalate change the path and add more gladiators hopping around. Like make it harder.
This is one I had to look up because I was like struggling with
I didn't realize you could jump over, skip over one.
I learned, and again, this is one that I could not find the manual online for. I've actually been thinking about just seeing if I can buy it because you can find it on like eBay, but yeah, I had to look up to see that you could double jump, like you could jump over a space and over a juggernaut, which is kind of nice. But yeah, you just have to go over this path, right? And the path changes every like, I don't know, it's like 60 seconds maybe, or maybe even less than that. But of course, people who are professionals at this found that there's like 2 very consistent paths that you can take, which is kind of nice. I found that on like a walkthrough, but even outside of that, I don't think once you learn that you can double jump, it's not a difficult game. And actually, I think this one's fine. Like, I think it's a fun one.
Yeah, this one's
it's fine.
It's fine. I like some of Marvin Monroe's like comments after you beat it. Like, well, what's funny, the Powerball one, at least I don't know if it's randomized or if it's always the same ones that they attach. But for the Power one, I got him talking about how like Bart beat it using violence deeply rooted in the male psyche.
Yes.
Which I found which is funny. Like the running joke throughout all of this is just sort of like, it's a good thing that this boy is using violence that's intrinsic in men to beat things. Like it's just, that's the joke of it. But I found that funny that was attached to the Powerball one where there's like no violence whatsoever happening.
It was wild. I guess like getting electrocuted is violent.
That's violence against you. Bart's not using violence.
True.
That said, for the skateboarding one, I also like, I do like the skateboarding one. His comment is sort of that Bart channeled young anger in a positive way. But then he's like, I recommend a good battle now and then. It's a healthy way to communicate. And then Bart's response to that is just, nice beard, Doc.
Yeah.
But
I love the nice beard, Doc. I don't know. I don't know if that was like intended to be a dig or
I don't get it. I mean, I don't think anything Bart says in this game is very funny, but Marvin Monroe's like over complicated descriptions of what's going on that are like obviously just rooted in like everyone's violent and should kill each other are very funny. I like that. I like Marvin Monroe's stuff.
I will note that so speaking of that, so if you do fail, the game over is, I think they say game over. It's something like, I don't remember the exact line. I didn't take it down, but he's basically like, you failed and millions of viewers know it, which I thought was very good.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And then I think Marvin Monroe also, I don't know if this is I think this is at the point when you game over. He says, you should take home a copy of my new book, Misery Should Hate Company. It's just like,
yeah, there's another one where he references his tapes that were called Stop Crying and Start Trying.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good references like for Marvin Monroe in this.
They really like Marvin Monroe's like really bad self-help tapes and TV specials. I think those are the best jokes in the game.
There's, of course, the one that you referenced at the beginning, which was Men Who Pound Too Much.
I fucking love Men Who Pound Too Much. So good.
So good. It's so good.
I would watch that. I would watch that TV special. I'll tell you that much.
That has to exist, right? Like that's got to be
yes.
100%. Anyway, so that's kind of like what happens with you. If you fail, if you progress, you go to week 2, and this is all measured by how much money you earn. Money is exchange for goods and services. Just kidding. Money is like measured in terms of you get money for having extra lives or like the time left over, as well as like passing through, like beating the challenge. It's weird, but it makes sense. So week 2, you then move on to, you get 3 mini games to choose from. 2 are new, 1 is the same. You have Darwin? Good Lord. Dr. Marvin Monroe's Hop, Skip, and Fry. Then you get, which I think is, again, my favorite, Nuclear Power Plant Bop Till You Drop.
Sure.
The reference for this one is Joust from Gladiators.
Makes sense. Classic.
It is
one everyone knows.
100%. Yeah, it's just ripped from it.
Yeah, except they're just, in this case, they're jousting over like a pool of nuclear waste, basically. You can get hit by the nuclear waste too. Like they mention like how that is, it's dangerous. Burns introduces this one, of course. And he mentions how it can actually harm you. So yeah, well, no, he's like,
that was kind of
scientists insist that our harmless nuclear byproducts can actually cause pain when coming in contact with skin. But as we know, they're all wrong. His nuclear waste is perfect and beautiful, and we all love it. It's good.
We love it.
Yeah.
Another just weird way that this game like sinews into the show that we talked about. The whole premise of that is Homer goes sterile because of the nuclear power plant.
Oh my God. And Burns being like, we can't have people believing that our nuclear waste can make them, or that nuclear energy can make you go sterile when you're around radiation. Like, it's so funny. Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. You're so right. That's like what the entire initial premise for the episode is predicated on at the beginning. Oh, that's amazing.
So funny.
Yeah. I do like in the game, your opponent, like when you're like before you push them off, I really like how the dude like edges before he falls off.
There's so much edging in this game.
So much edging in this game.
So much edging.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. Here's the other thing I will say about this minigame in specific. It could work a lot better if you had a chance to learn what you needed to do. I think
yes. I think that's a common thing in all of these games that we played.
Yes. So, okay. Something that like Mario Party, I think, learned really early on, and like obviously comparing this to Mario Party, like there's no comparison, but like what Mario Party does with like mini games, because you're playing a game that has multiple different things that it's asking you to do, it will show you the task and then have you practice it. There's no practice in this. You just jump in and you have to figure it out. I can't imagine playing this on actual Game Boy without like a save state or like being able to rewind.
Sure.
Like it would suck. Like
yeah.
I I think this game would be like vastly improved by like introducing like a thing that's like, here's the thing that you're gonna have to do practice right now. Like, here are the moves that you can do. Like, here's the way you can.
Yeah.
And again, might be in the manual, but
yeah, but I mean, they have like American Gladiators had like the Sarge guy like built into it. You could have that your version of Sarge. They could pick any Springfield character. It could even be like Principal Skinner or something stupid. Like, you know, I mean, he had military training, so he actually would be a perfect character. So
there you go.
Bart trains him. That's your training level or something, you know?
Well, and it's funny too, because they kind of try to do that. They give you like hints, like with like the characters introducing their levels, but like
help at all. They're so vague.
Yeah. Like, I think when we get to it, Mo tells you about like, try the backflip. Like, it's a great move. And I thought that was just like, I was like, there's no backflip. And then I learned there is a backflip.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, speaking of Mo, so that was the joust, nuclear power plant bop till you drop. The other mini game in this week is Mo's Tavern Shove Fest. The reference I picked for this one that makes sense to me is Breakthrough and Conquer, specifically the Conquer part, because you're basically trying to get someone off. It's a classic like gladiatorial game where you're trying to move someone out of a circle or off like an area, right? Like, it's sumo wrestling. It's like all of that stuff.
Right.
I hated this one. Not gonna lie, it sucked. I basically had to look up the guide for this one and learn that there's a move that you can just spam at the bottom of the map, and it just works consistently.
And he fights Barney randomly at the end of it. It seems like it's supposed to look like Barney at least.
And it is Barney, and Barney looks like an absolute weirdo.
Sure.
He looks like a freaking creep, like in this game. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, I see your screenshots. Yep, you're right.
He looks so weird. There's another character that looks absolutely unhinged.
My God, they're Krusty. Why does Krusty look like that?
Krusty looks so fucking unhinged in this.
Oh my God, his face is like stretched out so far. It's so bizarre.
And his mouth moves when he talks. Like, his mouth moves. Oh, it's so weird. It's so weird. But I kind of love it, actually. Yeah. But it's so weird.
It's so creepy.
That's week 3. Or sorry, week 2. Week 3 minigames, 2 repeats. Like, this is already, like, we're starting to see the problem. We have Captain Murdoch's Skateboard Bash and Crash, and then Mo's Tavern Shove Fest. Also, like, why are we repeating the game that we just did?
Right,
like,
it makes no sense. It's so weird.
It doesn't make any sense. And then we have Herman's Military Minefield Mayhem. I think the reference for this is probably Gladiators, like the assault.
I think that makes sense. It's just like a military obstacle course, basically.
Yeah,
is all it is.
And I kind of like this one. This is another one where we're like, once you start learning how to do the patterns, you basically drop in on a parachute. And then once you get to the bottom, and there's like obstacles being thrown at you, once you get to the bottom, then you have to like navigate this minefield and this like military obstacle course with dudes like lobbing grenades at you. Yeah. It was a fun one. It was very hard to figure out some of the maneuvers, but I didn't really have necessarily a problem with this. I would have if I was not using save states, but yeah, it was fine. And then the last game in this week actually is the Krusty Land Hammer Slammer.
It's just,
this one was just weird.
It's just the old fashioned like carnival like strength hammer, and what do you call it? Where the strength hammer and bell, where you hit the hammer and then it tests your strength. Is this
I think that's it.
It's just the test your strength game. Is the typical name for it. Yeah, that's literally all it is. Which is, I mean, like, I get like, oh, we're gonna do a Krusty game. It's a carnival game, but I'm like, but you've done Krusty stuff before. This isn't a Krusty game. This is an American Gladiators game. Why is this here?
Well, and also I feel like there's like so much other stuff you could do. I mean, like you could do like trapeze or something like that.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, an actual like physical obstacle course type thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's just very silly. It's very like and again, I mean that plus the repetition. It's like clearly they like as inspired as they could have been from American Gladiators. Like either they weren't or they did not have enough time to come up with their levels.
I also hated this minigame. It was not fun. It was way too punishing. If one of the gladiators, you have 4 gladiators that you have to manage, hitting the like little strength tester thing and like shoving the thing up their ass, basically. Like,
yeah,
that's basically they're climbing down this thing, and then you hit the thing, and the little pellet like hits them up.
Yeah,
and it if one of them gets down, you lose. Like, and I get where I understand the challenge of it, but it just like wasn't fun. Like, it wasn't a fun challenge, I didn't think.
That said, speaking of shoving it up their ass, what Krusty says before the game starts, his little tips that he gives you are, and I quote, "Keep pounding away and watch for those containers of Juggernaut juice, the fruitalicious fuel of champions." There is so much happening in that sentence.
Juggernaut juice.
Pound away
Keep pounding.
Pound away to get that fruitalicious Juggernaut juice. Those Juggernauts fucking love drinking that Juggernaut juice that they get from pounding away. Drinking the juice of other Juggernauts, probably. Yeah.
I would also note, too, I think it is very interesting that they use the term juice, which juice obviously is a term for steroids.
You know that was intentional.
Yeah, this was like kind of, it was wild that they even thought to do that. But anyway, there's no Gladiators reference to this. I have no idea what this could be referencing.
It's a carnival reference.
It's a carnival game. That's it.
Carnival game. Weird choice.
And then finally, one thing I forgot to mention, there are bonus mini games at the end of every week.
Except it's the same one every fucking time.
Come
on.
It's annoying. I don't mind it. Like, it's fun, but it's also like you could do something different, like, for sure. Also, if you're gonna repeat that, I'm fine with it if you don't repeat every other mini game. Like,
right, that can be the one thing they repeat because you're just dropping weights on someone, right? And they have to catch them.
They have to catch the weights, and then they get like squished underneath of the weights, which is
silly.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's funny, but like, it's also very easy. Like, in comparison to the other mini games. Like, I truly just didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's very simple, which is fine. Like, you can have like that element.
Sure.
And then finally, so we have week 4. We get to week 4. There are 5 total mini games. At this point, like, why don't you just do all 6? Like, all of them are not represented here. Like, there is a mini game missing. Like, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna repeat all of them, do all of them. Like, it's a weird choice to not do that. I would have been more annoyed had they done that, but also it's just like, what?
Yeah, weird choice.
Anyway, you get Monroe's Hop, Skip, and Fry, Nuclear Power Plant, Bop Till You Drop, Herman's Military Minefield Mayhem, Krusty Land, Hammer Slammer. These are all like hard to say on a podcast.
Yeah.
And then the Quickie Mart Doggy Dodge. What? What was that?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the thing that you associate Apu and the Quickie Mart with is dogs chasing you. It's weird. Okay. You're like trying to make like dogs like jump off of a ledge. Like, it's so weird.
It also is supposed to be the Quickie Mart, but it's clearly not.
Yo,
like,
it's a fucking pyramid. I mean, I know it's a reference to the pyramid game from Gladiators, but it's like literally a fucking pyramid that you're climbing.
I guess that's the only thing that I could think it references.
Sure.
But like,
right, but it's weird because you're basically jumping. Okay, we'll say the dog crates designs look good. They do look way more detailed than I ever would have expected from a Game Boy game.
The dogs look like the dogs in The Simpsons.
That's true.
Well.
They look like Burns' hounds, basically.
Yes.
But it's just weird. Yeah, you're making the dog, you're throwing meat and shit or whatever, and the dogs jump off a ledge, and then you get to the top, and then Apu serves you a squishy. The movement of Bart drinking the squishy is good. It's just like all of it's confusing.
It's so weird. It's just like it was just a jumbled mess of stuff. Like, I didn't understand it at all.
Yeah, it's very weird.
And it's not bad. It's a platformer. This is a platforming stage, which is fine. You can have that as like a mini game. My biggest complaint is that it's not immediately clear where you need to go. Like, I think maybe you can go left or right, but I went right and there was a dog there and I immediately died because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing to start.
Sure.
Okay. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll go left. And I go left and there's more stuff for me to interact with. So I'm like, all right, this is the way that I go, which is not natural progression in a video game to go left. Like, it's always go right. And again, the platforming is fine. I do like that there's different power-ups that you can pick up to get rid of the dogs, essentially. Like, you can throw it, like you said, you throw a dog treat off of the ledge and the dog will go after it. I think you get like one of those like dog training arms later on that like will take like a hit essentially from a dog and then the dog disappears. Fine. All that's fine and good, but it's just, it's so disjointed. It's like, what is this? I don't understand. And then you get to the top of the pyramid and you get a squishy from Apu. None of it makes any sense to me.
It doesn't, because it doesn't.
I
love the ending of this though.
The ending is good. The ending is good.
So it's fucking Truckosaurus.
Yes.
Okay, my question to you. I know if they're already veering away from American Gladiators like themed games for a couple of these, why wasn't there just a Truckosaurus themed level?
I don't know. Right? Like, why didn't they do a Truckosaurus level? Because I actually thought at first when you get to that, I was like,
a final boss.
Is this going to be like a final boss? Which would have been awesome.
And their Truckosaurus, like, it looks really cool. Like, basically, Bart just wins the Truckosaurus, right? Like, that's what that's what your final reward is. It's a cute little image of Bart smiling next to the Truckosaurus setting a car on fire. Fun shit. I'm down with it. Have no issues with that. Their Truckosaurus looks amazing. I wish you could have fought it or something, or drove it or something. Like, anything. Why is it an image and not an actual part of the video game where you could very easily be driving and or fighting Truckosaurus? It makes me so mad.
It's infuriating. It is. If nothing else, make it so that it's like a thing that you unlock, and then like when you go to play the game again, it's like put in code Truckosaurus and like you have unlimited life or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
like there's very simple things you could do with it to make it actually feel rewarding. Outside of that, the game just ends.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Right. I fucking love Truckosaurus so much. I mean, I was happy to see Truckosaurus in the game because I fucking love Truckosaurus. It just made me mad that I was like, oh, but he's just an image. I want to see it more. I want to use him.
I will just spoil something for you.
Is he in another game?
Truckosaurus does show up again.
Oh, well, there are games where you literally drive cars. So, of course, he's going to be in one of those, if not both.
But, I mean, yeah, I agree. It was like, I don't know, man. Like, the thing that, I think you described it perfectly, where it was like, my expectations were kind of set a little bit higher going into this game because it was so different from what we've experienced before. Mm-hmm. That when it like just fails to execute on like some of the like stuff that feels very simple, like I would forgive this game if at the end of the game, if after you beat it, you then unlock the ability to play any of the mini games that you want whenever.
Yeah, sure.
If it did that, I would be like, you know what? This is fine. Like, I understand, like, it sucks to have to get through all of this, but now I've unlocked it. Now I can just play the joust as much as I want, or now I can just play the skateboarding minigame as much as I want. But it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. Like, I it just is baffling that they spend so much time. Like, also, like, why, instead of doing 2 minigames and then 3 minigames and then 4 minigames and then 5 minigames, like, just do 2 new ones every single stage, and I think that fixes itself too. Like, in terms of like going from week to week, just introduce like the 2 new minigames and then be done. Like, make it a really short game, and then it's even less annoying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff where like I think that's the frustrating thing about this game, is that there is actually a lot of potential in it in general. I feel like there's a way you could do a 2-player in this game. Like, you know, either you're fighting each other or it's like you just take turns playing it or something, like, cause that feels very close to American Gladiators. I think it is actually kind of weird that this is a Bart game and not a full Simpsons family game, because you could have played multiple characters in the games, you know?
That's actually really smart, because like I could see it being like Homer is the one in Moe's Tavern and Bart is like doing the skateboarding, and then you have Lisa doing I don't know, like the Powerball game or something like that. Sure. Like, you know what I mean? Sure. Like, there's a way you can do it so that you have that was something I didn't even mention. Like, there's the only Simpsons family character that you see is Bart.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think, The other thing I'll say, too, is, like, there's other, like you mentioned this, there's other American Gladiator stuff they could have pulled from. The Eliminator is, like, quintessential to American Gladiators. Why is that not a thing in this game? Why is there no, like... I guess you could maybe argue that, like, the obstacle course is with like the mines is the Eliminator.
But then it should have
like,
been the last one or something. Like
that was what I was expecting when Truckosaurus showed up. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like the Eliminator, like kind of stage, and then it's just not.
I just this one really reeks to me of like they ran out of time and they were under crunch.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense because it feels like there's places where they were so inspired and then it just lands like a thud. Like once you get like, you know, a little bit into it. So I think that they had probably great ideas and just completely did not have any time to fulfill them. That's why everything got repeated and it just kind of stops.
Yeah. And especially, again, because like some of this stuff, I mean, a lot of these games we've been very harsh on and being like, this is just not fun to play. It's like punishing. This actually, I mean, there are places in this game where it is really fun.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like divorced from like just in general, like it is fun to play.
Yeah.
In like lots of places. So like, I think that's a success to the developers, but like, yeah, you're right. I think it does. That's the only explanation is they just ran out of time.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep.
Which doesn't make sense because they're making so many Simpsons games during this point. Like, just wait a little bit, y'all.
I know. Like you just had one. You can't wait like an extra like 3 months or something. Yeah. Whatever. It's like mid-tier, I guess, at this point, just because it's like you almost had it, but then you fumbled it real bad. So
which sucks because I feel like this should very much be above mid-tier.
Yep. I agree.
It should be.
I agree.
It really should be.
I agree.
I'm glad you mentioned the tiers. I think it might be fun maybe midway through to revisit our tier list. Not necessarily anytime soon, but we're getting close to like this is the 7th game we've played, right? So we're actually getting close to like being at the halfway point.
Jeez.
Kind of.
That's so weird.
I know, it's weird to think about.
How many are there in total?
22.
22 roughly.
22 or 21.
Okay.
And then there's a few other that we can
extra stuff.
There's a few other things.
There's other ideas. We'll get on more than 22 episodes, but for like the
for sure.
prime Simpsons games that are the priority. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I think it would be good to separate it out. We did a poll on Twitter, like the first 4 games we did. I'm thinking maybe we'll do like the next 4, and then we can maybe break out like halfway point, like best games so far kind of thing, and just kind of talk about those. But otherwise, that's it, I think, for the episode itself. If you want to keep playing along with us, next month we are playing the first game that was developed for 16-bit systems specifically and not ported to them, and it's a game that I think will feature one of your favorite new characters, Derek, Momthra.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. It is Bart's Nightmare. So if you want to play along with us, go ahead and pick that up or download it. All the ways that you can play the game. If our ideas are intriguing to you and you wish to subscribe to our newsletter, be sure to follow us on Instagram. We are at Simpsons Gaming Pod. You can also email us your questions, corrections, or just Simpsons quotes that you really, really like at simpsonsgaming@gmail.com. This podcast is also a proud member of the Glitterjaw Podcast Collective. If you're looking for other queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of Glitterjaw shows at glitterjaw.com. Speaking of, Derek, where can folks find you and all of your excellent shows?
Sure. I can be found pretty much anywhere at Derek B. Gale. For my shows, I have a bunch of them. I have a weekly show called Walloping Websnappers, which is a Spider-Man podcast where my co-host Doug and I do deep dives into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made. And then Doug and I also have a monthly podcast called Skreeonk, a Godzilla movie marathon, where we're stomping through Godzilla's filmography related to the Momthra thing that we just referenced. I also have Gimmicks, which is a podcast I do with my co-host David, where we look at the high concept and experimental structure breaking gimmicky episodes of TV. Of course, I mentioned that earlier because we do that Sabrina the Teenage Witch episode, and I think I referenced West Wing episode 2. Both of those were kind of referenced here, so definitely check that podcast out. They're all part of Glitterjaw. What about you, Tommy?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Awkward Comma on both. You can also check out my other show, Distant Echoes, a Star Wars podcast where my partner Cass and I watch every episode of Star Wars TV series in whatever order we please. We are about to start our deep dive into Star Wars droids. So get excited for that. You can find that show over on glitterjaw.com. And Derek, you also just released a new episode on Inside Out 2 of Falling with Style. That is a recent episode. I don't remember if you mentioned Falling with Style, but just giving folks the chance to.
Sure. Yeah, that's our Pixar podcast. So we went through all of the Pixar movies. So obviously there aren't any more once we finish that. So we just released them as movies come out. And since Inside Out 2 came out relatively recently, we dropped a episode out right after that came out. So yeah, check out Falling with Style as well. Also on Glitterjaw.
Glitterjaw, yeah, it's where everything can be found. All of your wishes. I don't. All of your wishes are on glitterjaw.com.
I don't know that we can promise that we can grant people wishes.
New tagline. All of your wishes. Glitterjaw.com. That's it. God, we've been going for 2 hours and 24 minutes. Our incredible theme music was recorded by the band whose name you'd love to touch, but you mustn't touch. That's right, it is Max Power. Please go check them out on Instagram and Facebook. They are at The Real Max Power Band. They're doing live shows and things like that, so definitely check them out on Instagram and Facebook to see where you can see them live. And, of course, remember, as always, tell your parents to listen to Leah Carvalho's Potting Challenge.
Or keep pounding all those men and go to hell.
I knew keep pounding all those men was coming. For some reason, I forgot the go to hell part.
Where else?
Both of those.
Where else are the gays going to go after pounding men? We all know.
You're right. You're right. Oh, gosh. Go to hell, everyone.